Chapter 806. Gu Jun. Lin Rei was stunned when he heard the mysterious person's name. Then he fell silent. Underneath his calm appearance, he was filled with shock. After all, this voice belonged to a god from Hongmeng, not a saint. The two of them weren't on the same level at all. Linley was certain that if the evil phoenix were here, he would be just as nervous as Linley was. Oh wait, in fact, he would be even more nervous than Linley. After all, Lin Rei had already received the system's notification. Now that he saw it for himself, he could not help but be shocked. However, what puzzled and shocked Linley was that previously, the system had clearly said that the primordial chaos powerhouse had already died, and that only the body of a dead primordial chaos powerhouse would have a self-protection mechanism. But now, everything had changed. The Almighty of Hongmeng was not dead. Moreover, now the system wanted to pass on its legacy to him in such a dramatic way. This made Lin Rei dumbfounded and stunned. At this moment, Lin Rei was not the only one who felt this way. He could not even fathom what was going on. He did not expect his prediction to be wrong. As for Gu Jun's current state, the system knew that it did not expect this. It was rare that Gu Jun of Hongmeng was able to preserve his soul until now. Oh, yes, it seems that I have underestimated the gods here. I did not expect the little god of Hongmeng to be so capable. The system muttered. System, you tricked me again. At this moment, Lin Rei came back to his senses and said to the system through telepathy with mixed feelings. Gu Jun wanted to explain. After all, Lin Rei was right. However, it was not entirely his fault. After all, he did not expect the gods here to have such an ability. In the end, he did not reply to Lin Rei. Silence was better than words, and he did not speak. Finally, he fell into complete silence. At this moment, Gu Jun didn't seem to be too surprised by Lin Rei's rejection. It was as though everything was within his expectations. Looking at such an interesting human, Gu Jun chuckled and said, Little guy, do you know that as the first god of Hongmeng, I have a lot of things on me? Any one of them can cause the entire universe to fall into a frenzy of killing and fighting. I'm very curious. I'm very curious why you're not interested and rejected me without any hesitation. Me? Hearing Gu Jun's words, Lin Rei was stunned. Then, he looked at the sky in a neither servile nor overbearing manner. His gaze was serious, as if he was about to go through a battle. I am me. Although your conditions are very tempting, I will not accept your things. Even more so, I will not accept your things. From now on, I will be controlled by the great Tao. My life is my own. No one can have it, and I will not allow anyone to control it. As he spoke, Lin Rei slightly raised his head and continued with an amused expression. Furthermore, I feel that there is no need to worry about this matter. Your things might not be as good as mine. So what if you're the first god of Hongmeng? Clang, Lin Rei said. Then he swung his arm and stabbed the Chaos Dragon Spear in his hand into the ground before him. Activating his cultivation, he channeled his spiritual energy into the Chaos Dragon Spear. Suddenly, 5 azure dragons charged out of the spear's shackles and appeared around Linley, guarding him tightly in the center. Oh, so these are the things that you said can surpass me? Looking at the azure dragons that appeared out of nowhere, Gu Jun was taken aback. His heart was filled with astonishment. He could tell that the 5 azure dragons were definitely much stronger than him when they were alive. But in that case, there was a problem. In the Hongmeng realm, he had never heard of such powerful beings. Moreover, there were 9 of them. This left him in disbelief. He believed that even in the Hongmeng realm, no one would recognize the 9 azure dragons because they had never seen or heard of them before. That's right, don't panic. I feel that my things can't compare to Lin Rei, except his inheritance and his mantle. Suddenly, a voice rang out. Linley was stunned, and halfway through his sentence, he didn't say anything else. What? Except? At this moment, hearing the system's voice, Lin Rei was stunned. He found it hard to believe that the system would say such a thing. Didn't it know that if he accepted it, he would unintentionally be controlled by the great Tao? In that case, thinking about it, Lin Ray didn't dare to continue thinking because he didn't know what kind of terrifying things he would think of if he continued thinking about it. And the system knew that Lin Ray was so agitated and confused. That kid, don't be anxious. How can I not be anxious? You bastard, what are you thinking? Hearing the system's words, Lin Ray became more infuriated the more he thought about it. Sigh. The system sighed at Lin Ray's reaction. I told you to accept the inheritance, but I didn't tell you to choose to cultivate it. Wouldn't it be fine as long as you don't cultivate Gu Jun's cultivation method? Furthermore, didn't you come here to take his body and all of his inheritance back? What's going on now? Hearing the system's words, Lin Ray was speechless and couldn't explain himself. The system was right. The reason why the Great Tao could control everything was because of their cultivation method. As long as they didn't cultivate it, they wouldn't be controlled by the Great Tao. Regarding this, Lin Ray knew that he had been rash and had fallen into the trap. Thinking about it, he felt a sense of regret. Isn't it better to think like that? If you obtain his things, you can increase your cultivation. At the very least, you can awaken the little dragon. Hearing Lin Ray's thoughts, the system said, Yes, I know. Previously, I didn't think of it. It's my fault. Lin Ray apologized for his rebuttal to the system. Regarding this, the system chuckled. All right, you brat. Do you think I don't know you? All right, remember, you're only allowed to accept everything from Gu Jun. You can't cultivate his cultivation method. Do you understand? Furthermore, as it said that, as if it was afraid that Lin Ray would forget, it continued to remind him. When you receive Gu Jun's information, I will think of a way to erase the will of the Great Tao. Yes, I understand. Hearing the system's arrangement, Lin Ray felt relieved. However, the moment his worried heart calmed down, he thought of something and asked the system anxiously, If I do that, will anything happen to you? Will you be pierced by the Great Tao? It's fine. At this moment, the system felt a thick warmth. This feeling was very comfortable. It's still too early for the Great Tao to notice me. Furthermore, I only erased the mark of the Great Tao. I didn't do anything else. Phew. He let out a long sigh and looked relieved. That's good. I thought. He didn't continue. After knowing that the system wouldn't be discovered, Lin Ray let go of his previous reservations. At this moment, Gu Jun's voice sounded again. Brad, I'll ask you one last time. Do you want my inheritance or not? You have to know that I'm not someone who can just, I want it. Without waiting for Gu Jun to finish his sentence, Lin Ray's lips curled into a smile as he said firmly, Although his words were interrupted, Lin Ray's reply was beyond his expectations. Previously, he said that he didn't want it and his attitude was very firm. It's only been half an hour. What's wrong now? Has his personality changed? Or is it someone else? How about it? Now tell me, what can you give me? What can I get from you? Besides, I've always believed in earning my own living. Now that a pie has fallen from the sky, I really don't like it. I'm afraid that I'll be smashed to death. As he said, Lin Ray's eyes flashed sharply. With a mysterious expression, he looked at the sky and continued, Tell me, what do you want me to do if you give me everything you have? Don't ever say that you have no conditions. This kind of words only work on little brats. To me, it's useless. Gu Jun. Looking at the experienced Lin Ray, Gu Jun was stunned. If it wasn't for the fact that the person in front of him was young, he would have thought that the person in front of him was an old monster from the same era as himself. The calmness and experience that didn't lose to his age shocked Gu Jun. Time passed slowly. In the blink of an eye, the scene fell into silence. No one spoke. Gu Jun also fell into silence. At this moment, he was thinking about what to say next. In the blink of an eye, an hour had passed. Finally, the silence was broken by Gu Jun. Kid, you're right. The reason why I gave you my inheritance is because I want you to help me remove the Eye Seal in Hongmeng. Also, I want you to help the Hongmeng realm recover to its former glory. At this moment, Gu Jun's words revealed traces of sorrow. Remove the Ice Seal? Hearing Gu Jun's words, Lin Ray was speechless. He seemed to have heard the little dragon mention this before. It seemed that he had a mission in the future to help the Hongmeng realm remove the Ice Seal, although he wasn't sure of the details. Yes, Looking at the strange look in Lin Rei's eyes, Gu Jun didn't think too much about it. However, thinking that he didn't have much time, he urged, "All right, let's not talk about this for now. I don't have much time left. I'll quickly give you the inheritance now. As for the rest, you'll be able to fully accept it when you reach a certain level. As for my conditions, I will separate a trace of my consciousness and store it in your mind. As long as you reach a certain level, that trace of consciousness will be able to sense everything to you." Just like that, it was over. Before he could even open his mouth, the decision had been made. Such a hasty decision. Before Linley could even open his mouth to refuse, he felt an enormous amount of information flood into his mind. With a buzzing sound, a pain as if he was struck by lightning swept over him. This pain didn't come from his body, but from the depths of his soul. Hongming Tendo Technique. At this moment, a technique appeared in Lin Rei's mind. Looking at this technique, Lin Rei was stunned. Then, without looking at it, he used his willpower to seal it in the depths of his mind. Bit by bit, all of Gu Jun's inheritance swarmed into Lin Rei's mind. As such, it was fortunate that Lin Rei's mental strength was strong. Otherwise, Lin Rei's mind would have been crushed by the huge amount of information and he would have died. Just like that, Lin Rei was immersed in the matter of Gu Jun's inheritance. Meanwhile, in the ancient corpse vault, earth-shattering changes occurred. Without the control of the three chiefs, the first, second, and third layers of corpses began to wantonly kill in the ancient corpse vault. However, whenever they saw a human disciple, no matter who it was, they would rush up to fight. Although they knew that they couldn't win, with thousands of corpses advancing dauntlessly, even if the person was a hierarch expert, he wouldn't be able to withstand such a dense battle. As such, all the disciples who entered the ancient corpse vault suffered unspeakably. However, there was no other way. They were no match for the corpses and didn't dare to show their faces. If they were discovered by the corpses, there would only be one outcome: death. It was in such an environment that everyone persevered for a few years. Finally, all the cultivators who entered the ancient corpse vault were excited. Not for anything else, but because today was the deadline of 30 years. The ancient corpse vault opened every 30 years. Today, it was exactly 30 years. At the entrance of the ancient corpse vault, that shocking light pillar appeared once again after 30 years. At this moment, the cultivators who looked at the light pillar cried. They couldn't hold back their tears and finally burst out. "Whoa, finally, I can finally leave. I can finally leave." Looking at the light pillar, everyone couldn't wait any longer. They couldn't care less about the corpses and took out their magic treasures and soared into the sky. Whenever they encountered a group of corpses on the way, they would stop by killing them. Their only goal now was to reach the exit and let the people behind them leave. As for the hundreds and thousands of people who entered, there weren't many left. Other than the less than 100 people on the surface, there was no one else, because those people had already entered the stomach of the corpses. In the third heaven, Pai Xiao stood in front of the palace and looked at the mountains. His eyes were filled with anxiety. What's going on? The 30-year deadline is already up. Why hasn't Lin Rei come out yet? Moreover, don't panic. Lin Rei hasn't come out. Even Jie Yang has disappeared. After such a long time of searching, the entire ancient corpse vault has been turned upside down by the three of us. In the end, we still couldn't find Jie Yang. Do you guys think that Jie Yang? No, absolutely not. At this time, hearing Gu Feng's words, Pai Xiao quickly interrupted. Although that brat's cultivation is not good, he wouldn't be so stupid as to not find a place to hide. Yes, absolutely not. That brat is definitely still alive. Yes, he's still alive. Sigh. Seeing Pai Xiao so agitated, Gu Feng was stunned. Everyone was stunned, and no one said anything. The scene fell into silence. No one said anything, but their eyes were fixed on the mountains in unison. In the depths of the realm within the realm, a young man stood there with a deep gaze and an evil smile on his face. At a glance, it gave people a creepy feeling. Time passes so quickly. I didn't expect that just by accepting an inheritance, 30 years would pass in the blink of an eye. Chapter 807. It's been 30 years. It's time for you to leave. At this moment, Gu Jun looked at Linley. His eyes were filled with concern, as if he had some special feelings for Linley. Yes, I know. 30 years have passed, and the entrance has opened. It's time for me to leave. At this moment, Gu Jun's body appeared in front of Lin Rei. However, the difference was that Gu Jun's massive body was now 30 meters tall. Although Gu Jun's body looked very majestic before, he was much more pleasing to the eye now. However, Gu Jun's eyes were dim and unfocused, as if he was a person who was about to die. Looking at the current Gu Jun, Lin Rei felt inexplicably uncomfortable. He knew that Gu Jun didn't have much time left. Moreover, during this process, he was only quietly receiving the inheritance. However, for some reason, his heart ached and he couldn't bear to see it. He even wanted to ask the system to see if it had any ideas. However, as soon as this thought appeared, Lin Rei stopped it. This was because he wasn't powerful enough and couldn't let anyone know about the system's existence. He couldn't do that. Lin Rei looked at Gu Jun and said, "Don't worry, I will definitely fulfill my promise to you. I will also help you unseal Hongming." At this moment, Lin Rei's gaze was unwavering and filled with confidence. In response, Gu Jun smiled and nodded. Good. I didn't misjudge you. This way, I can rest at ease." As he spoke, Gu Jun's voice became softer and softer. In the end, his voice completely disappeared. At this moment, his eyes lost their luster and no longer had a trace of life. Gu Jun, sensing that Gu Jun's body no longer had a trace of life, and even his soul had completely disappeared, Lin Rei suddenly roared angrily. His eyes were filled with sorrow. Although there was no master-disciple relationship, there was still the intention of a master-disciple relationship. Although they had not formally become his disciple, in Lin Rei's heart, he had already secretly remembered this almighty from Hongming who had once helped him. Time passed quietly. Only when his mood improved did he regain his cold and resolute appearance. "How is it? You're much better now, aren't you?" At this moment, the system suddenly spoke. It's all right. However, he was still the person who had passed down his legacy to me. Although it wasn't as clear as a master-disciple relationship, but he was still someone who had helped me. I, Lin Rei, will definitely help him complete it. Yes, this is the kind of person that the system, fancy. You really value integrity. Good. At this moment, after hearing Lin Rei's words, the system didn't forget to praise himself. Regarding this, Lin Rei expressed his helplessness. "All right, don't be so self-deprecating. My storage ring can't store Gu Jun's corpse. Hurry, keep Gu Jun's corpse and pass it to the little dragon later. See if he can extract something useful from Gu Jun's body so that he can wake up soon." Hearing this, the system was taken aback. Its eyes were filled with suspicion. Previously, it had a sorrowful look, but now it wanted to make use of Gu Jun's body. Don't think too much. Everything is for the big picture. Yes, the big picture. Knowing the system, he naturally knew what it was thinking at this moment. Then he quickly explained. "Yes, everything you said is right. All right, I'll keep it now and pass it to the little dragon, okay?" Without refuting, the system kept Gu Jun's corpse and placed it in front of the cave where the little dragon was recovering from his injuries. After doing all this, looking at the empty space, Lin Rei was stunned. His face revealed an indescribable expression. At this moment, looking at Lin Rei, the system asked, "What's wrong? Is there something wrong?" "No," the system suddenly said. Lin Rei replied without thinking, "I just feel like there's a pair of eyes watching me from the beginning. TSK, maybe I've been too tired all these years." Saying that, he revealed a tired smile. "But after ascending to the Holy Realm, I'll have 8,000 to 10,000 years of good rest and study in the scripture depository. I hope that by then, I'll be able to recuperate my body and recall what I've done in the past." The system was not used to Lin Rei's sudden behavior. Okay, I know you're tired. When you reach the Holy Realm, I'll definitely give you a long vacation. Okay. But the system changed the topic and urged, "But You should leave this place quickly. After all, this place used to be supported by Gujun. Now that Gujun is gone, I'm afraid that I won't be able to come back after this place closes. Then I know that your formation skills are high, but your time is limited. You can't order me around. Knowing what Lin Ray wanted to say, the system cut him off. Hey, okay, you're awesome. Linley was speechless and helpless at how the system had interrupted him and guessed what he was thinking. It's good that you know. After saying that, the system disappeared into the system. It did not appear again, and its voice also completely disappeared. The system's shamelessness had exceeded Lin Ray's imagination. Facing this, Lin Ray could only accept it and keep quiet. He took one last look at this place that shocked him and made him unable to forget for the rest of his life. Then, he turned around and activated the dragon, subduing step. In an instant, an azure dragon appeared under Lin Ray's feet and carried Lin Ray's body towards the entrance of the Holy Realm. As for the azure dragon and the chaotic dragon spear, Lin Ray did not recall it. Even if he did not recall it, it would not affect them. After receiving Gu Jun's inheritance, Lin Ray felt that his cultivation had become more refined. It was as if he could break through to the late hierarch realm at any time, but there seemed to be a barrier that prevented him from breaking through. Lin Ray was puzzled by this phenomenon, but there was nothing he could do about it. For the current Lin Ray, breaking through was not something that could be done by looking directly at the huge amount of spiritual energy. Only when one's cultivation level, spiritual energy, and opportunity had reached a certain level, the right time, the right place, and the right people could break through smoothly. As the saying goes, let nature take its course. Whoosh, a gust of wind swept past in an instant, carrying the perfect law of heaven and earth in the holy realm towards the entrance. Outside the ancient corpse vault, a woman in red suddenly appeared, followed by a man and a woman. The two of them were very respectful towards the woman in red in front of them, as if she was a high and mighty god that all saints looked up to, and they were people who were waiting to be redeemed. At this moment, the three of them were staring at the golden light barrier at the entrance. Their eyes were filled with anxiety, as if they were waiting for something. Senior CF phone, why isn't the young master out yet? So many people have already come out that Senior CF phone, why aren't the young master and Senior Pai Shio out yet? It shouldn't be. With the young master's cultivation level, it shouldn't be so slow, right? At this moment, the man and woman standing behind the woman in red asked, how would I know? This brat is always causing trouble. He'll feel uncomfortable if he doesn't cause trouble for a day. At this moment, the red-clothed woman called Evil Phoenix spoke with an ice-cold expression. Her ice-cold expression made it seem as if someone owed her a great deal of money. Yes, they were CF Phone, Chu Ci, and Yun Kai, who had been separated from Lin Ray and the others for more than 30 years. For 30 years, they had been cultivating on a mountain peak not far from the entrance. 30 years was just a blink of an eye to them. 100 or 200 years was no different from 1 or 2 days in their eyes, so, hearing CF Fang's response, Chu Ci and Yun Kai shrugged their shoulders awkwardly. They looked at each other and didn't say anything else. Brat, just you wait. Let's see if I won't beat your ass open when you come out. Yun Kai muttered in her heart as she looked at the light screen with concern. Please. Within the holy realm, Lin Ray, who was flying, suddenly felt something that shouldn't have happened to him. Sneezing? Did I catch a cold? It shouldn't be like this. At this moment, Lin Ray sneezed out of nowhere. One should know that as long as one stepped into the cultivation world, they wouldn't have diseases like the flu that only humans would have. But now Lin Ray, who was at the peak of the middle hierarch realm, actually sneezed. It's been 2,000 or 3,000 years. I never thought that something like this would happen to me. Feeling the pleasure of sneezing, an inexplicable smile appeared on his face, as if this was a particularly meaningful thing for him. Lin Ray. Suddenly, while he was sneezing, a familiar voice suddenly rang out and pulled Lin Ray back to reality. He raised his head and saw Jie Yong waving at him with a smile on his face not far away. It seems like you've recovered. Looking at Jie Yong, Lin Ray showed a relieved smile. Seeing how lively Jieyong was, he definitely recovered from his illness. Moreover, Lin Rei believed in his alchemy skills. Whoosh! He suddenly sped up and arrived in front of Jieyong in an instant. He looked at him and extended his hand. Come on up. The entrance to the ancient corpse trove has opened. We need to hurry. Otherwise, when the entrance closes, no one will know when we get out, let alone leaving. Oh, Jieyong, who was originally showing a happy smile, instantly changed his expression when he heard this. His face was filled with shock. He immediately nodded his head and jumped onto Lin Rei's azure dragon. As for the several azure dragons that had followed Jieyong, they had returned to their own group. Roar, roar, roar. Dragon roars that shook the eardrums resounded. The roars were filled with joy. He turned his head and glanced at the azure dragons. Then, he smiled and rushed towards the entrance of the holy realm with Jieyong. Since they were already here, it meant that they were not far away from the ancient corpse trove's third heaven. However, at this moment he felt a distressed gaze. Although the entrance would last for a year when it first opened, the loophole in the ancient corpse trove was too big. After 30 years, the ancient corpse trove would open. Those who entered the ancient corpse trove would be able to leave. However, the gaze sensed that the entrance would only last for a day. If they could leave within a day, they would be lucky. If they couldn't, they could only blame their bad luck. Boy, do you want to ask for help? I can send you to the entrance in an instant. Suddenly, the system spoke. The meaning of the system's words was exactly what Lin Rei needed the most right now. Hearing this, Lin Rei was stunned. His eyes were filled with excitement. However, he knew that the system wouldn't be so kind. Say it. How much do you want? Hee. As expected, straightforward. Seeing Lin Rei's reaction, the system chuckled and reported, not bad. Just 1 million exchange points. That's really not much. Lin Rei was really at his wit's end. 1 million, the system actually said that it wasn't much. I'm afraid that you misunderstood the concept of not much. Of course, Lin Rei didn't have so much time to explain. Compared to his life, money was just a worldly possession, so, okay, give it to me. As usual, I'll give it to you when I have the money. What do you think? Lin Rei said. Okay, the system agreed. After you get out, keep Gu Feng and the other two into the system. When the time comes, I'll use my magical ability to teleport you to the entrance. And okay. Hearing the system's words, Lin Rei nodded and his face relaxed. At this moment, the Pishio and the others who were stuck out of the third heaven were anxious. Under Gu Feng's guidance, they knew when the entrance would close. Lin Rei, boy, don't cause trouble, okay? I can't afford to be tormented like this. Looking at the mountains, the Pishio muttered to himself. Sigh. It seems that we can't get out this time. At this moment, Gu Feng, who was at the side, looked at the time passing by. The time needed to reach the exit wasn't something that could be reached in 1 or 2 days. For a moment, the thing that they were looking forward to was once again gone. A sense of loss welled up in their hearts. Yeah, I thought that this time, you could leave this place and enter the divine realm full of sunshine. It seems that this time, roar. All of a sudden, an earth-shattering dragon's roar interrupted everyone's wild thoughts. Lin Rei, young master. Regarding the dragon roar, the first person that came to everyone's mind was Lin Rei, because only Lin Rei had a dragon. Whoosh! The sound of something breaking through the air was heard. What entered their eyes was a green light that instantly soared into the sky from the mountains. Then it swooped down and finally arrived in front of everyone. Because of the momentum, the moment it arrived in front of everyone, dust flew up, causing everyone to frown. When the dust dissipated, what entered everyone's eyes was the long-awaited Lin Rei and the missing Jieyong. Jieyong? Looking at Jieyong, everyone was stunned. When they saw Lin Rei, everyone understood what was going on. They'd been searching outside for such a long time, and this guy actually entered the realm within the realm to look for Lin Rei. Everyone is okay. Hearing the Pishio calling his name, Jieyong said embarrassedly, Lin Rei. Chapter 808. What do you think? Looking at Jie Yang, who was filled with embarrassment, Pai Shio held back his naughtiness and said to him with a cold face, We thought something had happened to you, so we had ancient corpses to look for you. What about you? You actually went to a realm within a realm. Tell me, how are you going to compensate us who worked hard? That's right. It's best if there are medicinal pellets. It's best if I have something like the 9 Revolution mixed yuan pellet or something comparable to the 9 Revolution mixed yuan pellet. Otherwise, we can't let this matter pass. At that moment, hearing Pai Shio's words, Ba Bao also started to talk. He was asking for too much. Too much. Something that could be comparable to the 9 Revolution mixed yuan pellet? There probably weren't many medicinal pellets in the divine realm that could be comparable to the 9 Revolution mixed yuan pellet. No, there was none. Although the speaker didn't mean it, the listener took it seriously. It's just that Jie Yang wasn't able to obtain the things they said. He looked at Ba Bao and the others with guilt and spoke. About that. The things you want are too expensive. I might PFFF. Hearing Jie Yang speak so seriously, Pai Shio couldn't hold back and burst out laughing. Even Ba Bao was like that. Everything just now was just a joke. They didn't expect Jie Yang to take it seriously. Brat. Looking at Jie Yang, Pai Shio laughed and spoke. His face was filled with interest. Are you stupid or stupid? Do you think we don't know that you don't have those things? At that moment, hearing the laughter, even the stupidest person reacted. With a helpless expression, they looked at Pai Shio and Ba Bao speechlessly. Enough, stop talking. Look at how you've teased Jie Yang. At that moment, seeing Jie Yang speechless, Lin Rei quickly mediated. The things you've encountered this time have already surpassed what you can handle. Also, as he spoke, Lin Rei's gaze landed on Jie Yang. Also, this time, if it wasn't for Cang Long, I'm afraid that Jie Yang wouldn't be here anymore. What? Jie Yang. At that moment, hearing Lin Rei's words, everyone knew the seriousness of the matter. With serious and caring gazes, they came to Jie Yang and began to inspect him. While checking, he kept sniffing. Are you all right, Jie Yang? Come, let me see if you're injured. Quick, let me take a look. Is there anything wrong? Is there any injury in your body? Does it still hurt? Seeing that everyone was so enthusiastic, Jie Yang was startled. Then, his expression changed, and he hurriedly replied, It's fine. It's all thanks to the pills that Linley refined that saved me. Otherwise, right now, I would have become food in the stomachs of the zombies. Phew. The moment these words were spoken, everyone let out a long sigh of relief in unison. Their worries from earlier had all disappeared at this moment. It's good that you're fine. It's good that you're fine. At this moment, everyone left Jie Yang's side. However, there was one person who did not come. You brat, your cultivation is still not enough. It seems that when we return this time, I must properly train you. Otherwise, if we encounter this kind of thing again, the result will still be the same. At this time, Pai Shio was beside Jie Yang. It pointed at him and said with an unpleasant expression. At this moment, Pai Shio seemed to be treating itself as Jie Yang's master. Its tone was very much like an elder reprimanding a junior. Lin Rei was stunned by this scene. Then, he smiled and did not say anything. He knew what Pai Shio was thinking. The one who was not panicking was him. Even Ba Bao also knew about it. He turned around and looked at Gu Feng and the other two. Looking at them, Lin Rei did not speak any nonsense and went straight to the point. In a moment, I will bring you all into a secret realm. At that time, don't struggle. When we get out, I will release you all. Do you understand? What? Now we can still get out? Hearing those words, Gu Feng and the other two were shocked. They knew the distance from here to the exit. It was not something that could be reached in 1 or 2 days. However, looking at their young master's firm gaze, they did not think that he was lying. Regarding this, the three of them were very puzzled. Lin Rei did not feel that it was strange for the three of them to say such words. After all, they were the owners of this place. They already knew when the exit would close. Don't worry. Since I said that I will bring you all out, I will do it. And, as he spoke, Linley pointed at the gloomy ancient corpse burial ground. With a dazed look on his face, he continued, And do you think that I will stay here for hundreds or thousands of years, waiting for it to open again before leaving? My time is very useful. I don't like to waste time buying this place. So, don't worry. That's great. Although there was still a little bit of disbelief in their hearts, since Lin Ray had already said so, there was no need to think about it anymore. That's right. Looking at Gu Feng and the other two's faces that revealed a trace of trust, Lin Ray smiled. All right, by the time you all appear again, you will have already left the ancient corpse depository. Yes, understood. Knowing what they should do now, Gu Feng and the other two's bodies relaxed and entered a state of emptiness. Heh. Looking at the three's reaction, Lin Ray smiled. Then, with a thought, his divine sense instantly focused on Gu Feng and the other two's bodies. With a thought, Gu Feng and the other two's bodies instantly disappeared. In the system space with picturesque mountains and limpid waters, Gu Feng and the other two appeared. You all stay here. Once we reach the place, I will release you. Seeing that the three's eyes were still closed, Lin Ray was surprised. After saying this to the three's three, he directly exited the system. At this moment, hearing Lin Ray's words, the three opened their eyes. What entered their eyes was a picturesque mountain valley. Aside from the fact that there were no living creatures, there was everything else that one could think of. There were streams, hills, grasslands, and some elixirs. Although they were the lowest grade elixirs, they were indeed colorful and exceptionally fragrant. The scene before them caused Gu Feng and the other two to feel astonished. At the same time, they now fully believed in Lin Li's claim that he could bring them out of this place. He could do it. This person who had suddenly appeared in their lives was able to free them, to leave this place where they didn't even know they existed. With a thought, Lin Ray could sense Gu Feng and the other two's situation in the system. Seeing the trust and respect in their eyes, Lin Ray smiled and immediately returned to the main topic. Looking at Pai Xiao and the others, Lin Ray opened his mouth. Time was tight, and he didn't have much time to explain. In a while, you guys too. Don't resist. I will bring you out of here. Do you hear me? Lin Fan said to them in a commanding tone. Regarding this, they knew the severity of the situation and knew that now was not the time to joke around. Understood, and seeing that everyone nodded in agreement, Lin Fan immediately communicated with the system. System, it's okay. When I tell you to leave, you take action. Understood. Regarding this, the system was already prepared. It was just waiting for Lin Ray to give the order. At this moment, everything was ready except for the east wind. Seeing that everything was ready, a relaxed smile appeared on Lin Fan's face. He looked at everyone and nodded. Wait for me, I've been here for a long time. Saying this, without giving them time to react, Lin Fan's spirit energy instantly rushed out and directly wrapped Pai Xiao and the others tightly. They were like a big dumpling, impregnable as a fortress. Let's begin, system. Okay. Hearing Lin Ray's words, the system directly threw something similar to a whirlpool out of the system. Following that, the whirlpool that was thrown out by the system directly appeared at the feet of Lin Ray and the others. Teleportation portal up. At this moment, the system's voice appeared in Lin Ray's mind. Hearing this, Lin Ray was stunned. He stared straight ahead, his eyes full of emotions. Teleportation portal? Regarding this, Lin Ray was speechless. He thought that the system would use something high-end, but he didn't expect that in the end. It was actually a teleportation portal. Feeling the anger in Lin Ray's words, the system was stunned and immediately wanted to explain. System, you are really evil, aren't you? However, without waiting for the system to speak, Lin Ray directly retorted. 1 million. I want to buy a teleportation portal. With a trace of hesitation, he communicated with the system. You know, I am a pinnacle venerable stage array master. You asked an array master to spend 1 million to buy a teleportation portal. Aren't you slapping me in the face? It wanted to explain, but it was a pity that it couldn't say anything. After all, Lin Ray was right. Asking a Ray Master to buy a low-end portal was a very unacceptable thing in itself. Without further explanation, it knew that Lin Ray was currently in a fit of anger. Teleportation portal, start. Rumble, rumble. Suddenly, the originally calm ground began to shake, and a shocking light pillar instantly appeared at the feet of Lin Ray's windblade. Originally, it was just an effect similar to a choice, but after the abnormal rumbling and shaking, the original effect changed at this moment. The whirlpool began to rotate, and slowly, the people who were wrapped up by Lin Ray began to sink bit by bit as if they had fallen into a swamp. It's okay. This is a teleportation portal. Don't worry. Looking at the doubts in everyone's eyes, Lin Ray hurriedly explained. Although he was very unhappy, after all, the current problem was solved. Thinking about this matter, he was not so unhappy about being cheated previously. Slowly, Lin Ray and the others sank bit by bit. At first, it was their legs, then their bodies, and finally their heads. In the end, everyone disappeared into the whirlpool. Boom! A loud sound was heard again, and the original whirlpool instantly collapsed and disappeared. At the exit of the ancient corpse trove, there were cultivators in 2s and 3s rushing towards the exit in a sorry state. Some were covered in injuries, some were missing an arm or a leg, and some were blind. In any case, except for a few individuals, everyone who came out had become disabled. Boom! However, at this moment, just as everyone was desperately trying to escape from the ancient corpse trove, they saw a beam of light suddenly appear at the exit. The beam of light was blue. At this moment, looking at the beam of light that suddenly appeared, the people who were desperately trying to escape were stunned on the spot. The aura of a teleportation portal. At this moment, an old man looked at the beam of light that suddenly appeared with a stunned expression, and doubts arose in his heart. Not only the old man, but some of the stronger cultivators at the side also looked at the beam of light with doubts in their hearts. Everyone had been through a teleportation portal before, so there was nothing strange about this. However, what made everyone curious was that this teleportation portal was in the ancient corpse trove, which was very strange. However, under the blue beam of light, a few figures appeared in front of everyone's eyes. Phew, finally out. At this moment, in the beam of light, a young man looked at the coincidental golden light barrier with a relaxed expression on his face, as if everything had ended there. Yes, finally out. I thought it was too late. At this moment, a young man who was similar in age to him said, "Look there, there's someone there. Yeah, there's someone. I didn't think that there would be such an impressive expert here to be able to use a teleportation portal in the ancient corpse trove." At this moment, the few figures within the blue light appeared in front of everyone. Instantly, the crowd was in an uproar. Discussions, clamors, envy, jealousy, all of them appeared at this moment. As for the crowd's voices, they were all heard by the people within the blue light. TCH, Lin Ray, I didn't think that your teleportation portal would cause so many people to be dissatisfied. At this moment, the few figures within the blue light were Lin Ray and the others who were teleported over from the ancient corpse trove's third heaven. For the second time, the one who spoke was none other than the Paishio. It's best that you don't provoke me, or else I'll kill all of you." Without looking at the surrounding unrelated people, he looked at Jie Yong and the others and said, "Let's go. Perhaps Xiefeng is already waiting outside." Xiefeng. Hearing those words, the Paishio was stunned, and his face became slightly unnatural. Let's go." After saying that, he ignored the Paishio's unnatural expression and stepped out of the blue light and walked towards the golden light barrier. Lin Ray. At this moment, a voice filled with disbelief sounded from the side. Hearing that voice, Lin Ray frowned, stopped, and turned his head to look. At this moment, a woman entered his eyes, a woman that Lin Ray was slightly familiar with. However, Lin Ray couldn't remember who she was at this moment. "Okay, hurry up, the entrance is about to close." At this moment, seeing that Lin Ray stopped, the Paishio couldn't help but urge, "Okay." The Paishio's words caused Lin Ray to be stunned. Immediately after, he moved away from the familiar woman and stepped into the golden light barrier. Whoosh! At this moment, Lin Ray and the others left the ancient corpse trove. As for the woman who called out Lin Ray's name, she was stunned and her face was filled with disappointment. Just now, she clearly saw the confusion in Lin Ray's eyes. She clearly knew what that meant. Could it be? Could it be that you don't recognize me? Chapter 809. She lowered her head in disappointment. Tears rolled down her cheeks uncontrollably. Her heart was filled with grievances and disappointment. She didn't understand. It had only been a few decades, but the other party had already forgotten about her. Sigh. A sigh was suddenly heard. A hand reached out from behind and patted the girl's shoulder. A comforting voice said, Mingyue, you have to understand that Lin Ray is not an ordinary person. Just by absorbing the refining techniques, he is enough to destroy this world. Although we are disciples of the Cocoon Sword Sect, but after saying that, the voice stopped. It wasn't that he didn't want to, but he couldn't bear to see his niece crying. I know, but I just can't help but want to sigh. Looking at his niece's appearance, the man sighed and said, Let's go. It's time to go out. The exit here must be closed. After saying that, the man pulled his crying niece and stepped into the golden light barrier. They disappeared from the ancient corpse vault. At this moment, Xie Feng, who was waiting for the entrance of the ancient corpse vault, became less and less calm. It seemed that she would rush in at any time. Brat, just you wait. When you come out, I will kill you. Whoosh! After saying that, the golden light barrier suddenly changed. In the next moment, a young man stepped out of the ancient corpse vault and arrived at the entrance of the outside world. Looking at the few people in the deep sea, the man's face revealed a trace of joy. After 30 years, I finally came out. At this moment, Xie Feng, who was silent, glanced at the young man. When she saw him, the smile on her face disappeared. She took a step forward and arrived beside the young man in a flash. Then, she slapped the back of the young man's head. At this moment, the young man, who was admiring the divine world after 30 years, suddenly felt a cold wind blowing at the back of his head. Suddenly, his smiling eyes turned cold and sharp. Then, he waved his hand and rushed behind him. Bang! Boom! The sound of a collision alarmed all the cultivators present. After the collision, a terrifying energy wave spread out in all directions like ripples on water with the two as the center. Those cultivators with lower cultivation bases were sent flying without any resistance after coming into contact with the terrifying shock waves of the battle. As for those with higher cultivation bases, they were also affected by the aftershocks. Although they were not sent flying like those with lower cultivation bases, they were still suppressed to the point where their blood and chi roiled and their stomachs were shaken. This action caused everyone to subconsciously retreat into the distance. They only stopped when they were more than 100 zhang away from the person. Everyone felt helpless and sullen towards the two people who were fighting. If you want to fight, go fight somewhere else. You're making us lose face. No matter what, we're all from the same sect. Of course, no one would say this out loud, but they could still think about it. Who are you? Why did you attack me? At this moment, the young man who blocked the attack no longer felt relaxed. Instead, he was filled with anger. He wanted to prove himself, but when he was halfway through his words, he saw the face of the person who attacked him, and he was stunned. Not bad, kid. I haven't seen you for 30 years, and you dare to talk to me like this, right? At this moment, looking at the young man in front of her, Xie Feng was stunned. She whispered with an amused smile. Hearing this, the young man was stunned. Then he smiled bitterly. If it was someone else, he would have attacked her. Even if he killed her, it would not be a problem. But, thinking of Xie Feng's cultivation base, the young man felt helpless. He then begged for mercy. That you too. I just came out and you attacked me. My good mood is gone. Tell me, how are you going to compensate me? The young man was not someone else. In the entire divine world, other than Lin Ray, there was only one person who could talk to Xie Feng like this. And the young man who was talking to CF Fong at this moment was none other than Lin Ray. Get lost. CF Fong retracted her hand and took a step forward. She asked with concern, "How are you? Is there any danger inside? Did anyone hurt you? Let me see." After saying that, without waiting for Lin Ray's response, CF Fong began to move her hands up and down his body affectionately and began to explore. Wait, CF Fong. Feeling the strange feeling in his body and CF Fang's boldness, Lin Ray suddenly felt a little uncomfortable. He then reached out and grabbed CF Fang's hand to stop her next move. Looking at Lin Ray's behavior, CF Fang looked at Lin Ray with a puzzled look, as if she was looking for an explanation. In this regard, Lin Ray did not disappoint. He knew what CF Fang was thinking. Without waiting for her to speak, he explained that, "Okay, I know you care about me, but I'm really fine. Besides, do you think that someone as powerful as me will be hurt?" Boom! As he spoke, a terrifying power surged out of Linley's body and spread out in all directions. The spiritual energy in his body was endless, and it was extremely dense. Peak of the intermediate ultimate god realm. Feeling Lin Ray's cultivation, Yi Lingchen's expression was so strange. Yi Lingchen remembered that he was just an emperor god when he entered the divine realm. He didn't expect that in just 30 years, Linley would rise by 2 or 3 levels. No matter which realm he was in, this was an inconceivable thing. Even if he had survived from the untainted age, he was still very surprised. At this moment, CF Fong really wanted to dissect Lin Ray. She wanted to see what kind of structure Lin Ray was made of. Since he stepped into the world of cultivation, in less than 4,000 years, he had gone from a nobody to an existence that could make the divine realm tremble with a stomp of his feet. How is it? Not bad, right? Looking at CF Fang's dazed expression, Lin Ray was slightly delighted. Although Lin Ray's cultivation had advanced very quickly, CF Fang knew that she could not say anything nice when she saw Lin Ray's proud expression. She did not want to take advantage of Lin Ray. His face immediately changed, and a look of disdain appeared in his eyes as he stared at Linley. And here I was wondering how powerful you were. Aren't you just a peak middle ultimate god? Why don't you beat me down if you can? If you don't have the ability, then don't talk so much. Don't show off your cultivation in front of me. It's not that I look down on you, but I don't care about your cultivation at all. Lin Ray. These words were like a sharp knife stabbing into Linley's heart. There was nothing Linley could do about this. Whoosh, whoosh. The atmosphere suddenly became quiet. CF Fong knew that she might have gone overboard with her words. When the scene was quiet, a few figures that CF Fong was familiar with appeared. Pai Xiao, Ba Bao, Jade-Faced Rakshasa, Jie Yang, and the others all walked out from the golden light barrier of the ancient corpse trove. You guys came out. Looking at them, CF Fong skipped over Lin Ray and greeted Pai Xiao and the others. Nonsense. If we don't come back, are we going to live inside? Hearing CF Fang's greeting, Pai Xiao Nyimpa stared blankly, then turned his head and muttered, "You?" Hearing Pai Xiao's words, CF Fong felt helpless. She did not know why, but as long as the two of them met, they would either fight or quarrel. They were very accurate and never missed anything. Looking at them, Lin Ray threw the unpleasantness to the back of his mind and stepped forward to stop them. "All right, you guys can ask. What should I say? It's always like this." Sure enough, once Lin Ray spoke, everyone shut up. Even CF Fong, who had a strong cultivation, was no exception. The scene instantly calmed down. Looking at this result, Lin Ray revealed a smile and continued. "Now that the matter here is over, what do you guys plan to do?" Hearing this, everyone was stunned. Their eyes were filled with doubt. They did not understand what Lin Ray meant. Looking at everyone's doubtful eyes, Lin Ray knew that he did not express himself clearly. Then he continued to explain. "What I mean is that the matter here is over. I plan to leave the inner layer of the divine world and head to the outer layer. There are some things that I need to do. Also, TSK, I haven't returned to the Sect for a long time. It's time for me to go back and take a look. After all, my family, wife, son, and disciple are there." After saying that, he looked at them. "What about you guys? I want to go back. What do you guys plan to do? Wait for me here? Or, brat, you just came out and you want to send us away? At this moment, hearing Lin Ray's words, Siefeng was not willing. Her face instantly turned cold and she frowned. I've been waiting for you for so long. What do you want to do? Facing Siefeng's sudden temper, Lin Ray was also speechless. He did not refute. He knew that if he refuted now, there would be a storm of nagging behind. Ignoring Siefeng, he turned around and looked at Pai Xiao and the others. What about you guys? What do you guys plan to do? I'll follow you. After all, I'm also a member of your Xuanzong sect. I need to go back and recognize the sect. Otherwise, how undutiful would I be? At this moment, Jie Yang said without thinking. That's right. Besides, although your cultivation has increased, there is still a long way to go from here to the outer layer. Without me, how long do you think you'll take? A few months? A year or two? At this moment, Pai Xiao said. When those words came out, Lin Ray was speechless. Pai Xiao was right. If it was him, it would probably take 1 or 2 years just to go to the outer layer. At this moment, there were less than 6 years left until the 100-year deadline. He could not afford to delay. On the side, 8th Baby had a hesitant expression as if he was thinking about his marriage. I'll leave first. I've been away for so long, and I'm afraid that something will happen to the store. So, at this moment, the jade-faced Rakshasa said, if that's the case, then leave. Lin Ray did not think too highly of the jade-faced Rakshasa's departure. After all, Lin Ray did not think highly of her. If that's the case, the mountains will not change, and the rivers will flow forever. See you again. Seeing Lin Ray nod, the jade-faced Rakshasa revealed a smile. She cupped her hands at the crowd and found the right direction before leaving in a flash. Only after watching the jade-faced Rakshasa's back disappear into the horizon did Linley retract his gaze. He once more turned his gaze to 8th Treasure. Linley felt rather helpless in the face of 8th Treasure's contemplation. As time quietly passed, the people in the ancient corpse trove appeared in 2s and 3s. In the blink of an eye, 2 hours had passed. However, 8th Baby was still in a dilemma. Lin Ray did not want to wait any longer. Without waiting for 8th Baby to express his thoughts, he directly said, Okay, you don't need to think about it. Just leave with me. 8th Baby was stunned at these sudden words. He wanted to refute, but just as he said the word, he felt a devouring force wrap around him. His vision blurred, and when he recovered, he found that he was no longer at the entrance of the ancient corpse trove. Instead, he found himself in a mysterious space. There were mountains and rivers here. It was very beautiful, and the spiritual chi was abundant. It was several times denser than the outside world. 8th Baby was stunned by this. What is this place? 8th Baby asked subconsciously. He had a stunned expression on his face and was particularly eye-catching. You don't need to know. You only need to know that you won't encounter any danger here. Instead, there are many benefits. Looking at 8th Baby's current appearance, Lin Ray revealed a smile and reminded him before exiting the system. Hearing Lin Ray's voice, 8th Baby looked around, trying to find Lin Ray's figure. Unfortunately, he could not find him in the end. Okay, this place is pretty good too. Looking at the picturesque space around him, a smile appeared on his face. Then, he found a quiet place, sat down, and began to cultivate. When she saw that the 8 treasures had entered a state of cultivation, she smiled and felt completely at ease. Chu Xiai and Yunkai greet the young master. At this moment, Chu Xiai and Yunkai, who had been at the back, quickly stepped forward and bowed. Okay. Hearing Chu Xi's words, Linley completely exited the system. He looked up at the two of them. The hairspray. The two of them had become even more refined. It could be said that Linley had spent quite a bit of effort on them, especially Chu Xiai, who still had a bit of his own illusory blood fire. Looking at them, Lin Ray did not give them a chance to choose. He directly said, The two of you will follow me back to the sect. I have something to tell you during this period. Hearing this, the two of them were overjoyed and quickly responded, Yes, we will follow the young master's orders. Okay, then it's all right. Seeing that the matter was settled, his gaze fell on Pai Xiao. Let's go. I'll have to trouble you for the next period of time. Hee boy, you can still say such words. It's not easy, huh? Hearing Lin Rei's words, to be honest, Pai Xiao felt a little uncomfortable in his heart. However, in the end, he accepted it. With a boom, Pai Xiao transformed into its original form. Its 100-feet figure instantly appeared in front of everyone. Suddenly, the scene was in an uproar. Looking at the giant beast that suddenly appeared, everyone subconsciously retreated. At this moment, their eyes were filled with panic. Lin Rei did not have the chance to see everyone's reaction. He said something to Xie Feng and Jie Yang, then jumped onto Pai Xiao's back. Let's go. Like Lin Rei, he said something to Jie Yang and jumped onto Pai Xiao's back. As for Jie Yang, it was not the first time. Under Lin Rei and Yun Sai's urging gazes, he jumped onto Pai Xiao's back. In an instant, Pai Xiao, who was ready to attack, flew towards the entrance of the outer layer at full speed the moment Jie Yang jumped onto its back. Chapter 8:10. The departure of Lin Rei and the rest brought peace and quiet to the entrance of the ancient corpse trove. The previous restlessness, fear, and panic were gone. At this moment, looking at Lin Rei and the rest leaving, everyone couldn't help but let out a long sigh of relief. Their faces revealed an indescribable sense of relief. They finally left. Heavens, who are those people? Just the aftermath of their battle was so powerful. And what was that demonic beast? Yeah, such a powerful existence. It shouldn't be unknown in the divine world. Then what is it? Pai Xiao. Heavens, could that beast be a Pai Xiao from the desolate era? One by one, questions emerged in Lin Rei's mind. Unfortunately, there was no one to answer their questions at this moment. Time passed by slowly. Everyone who entered the ancient corpse trove, including those who died, all walked out. A day passed by quietly. Finally, the golden barrier that shot up to the sky closed the entrance to the ancient corpse trove at the last second of the day. Asterisk Hua. Asterisk the golden barrier disappeared. Everyone looked at the entrance with a dignified gaze. Their faces were filled with joy, fear, and an indescribable feeling. But there was one thing that everyone present had in mind. It was that they didn't want to come here again in their lifetime, let alone enter the ancient corpse trove. It wasn't that they didn't want to, but they really didn't have the ability. The ancient corpse trove was far more terrifying than they thought. They couldn't bear it, and they couldn't bear the exhaustion of the ancient corpse trove. Just this time alone, there were hundreds of people who entered, but only less than 100 came out. They couldn't bear this kind of damage, and they couldn't bear it. The golden barrier disappeared. Everyone's heart was completely calm at this moment. The original nervousness also calmed down at this moment. Seeing that the ancient corpse trove was over, everyone sighed. They raised their head with a relaxed smile on their faces. They cupped their hands to the people they knew, nodded, and said a few polite words. Then, they hurriedly left the entrance of the ancient corpse trove and flew towards their own sections. Hundreds and thousands of figures shot up into the sky like shooting stars, disappearing into the horizon. The scene was extremely shocking. Basically, all of the almighty figures from every level of the god world were gathered here. Such a scene was rare even in 100 years, 1,000 years, or even 10,000 years. Just like this, following the departure of the crowd, the originally bustling entrance of the ancient corpse trove had once again become a desolate place. Once again, it became a desolate, and forbidden place, once again becoming an untouchable place in the hearts of everyone. In the north, in Wuzhou, a middle-aged man sat in the best hall of the Nine Heavens Xuanzong Sect on Tianlong Mountain. Two people stood beside him, and dozens of people stood below him. At this moment, the atmosphere was extremely tense. No one said anything. Everyone was looking at the people in the upper seats, as if they were thinking about something. He believed that if Lin Rei was here, he would definitely recognize everyone here. Because these people were his brothers, friends, and division leaders who had fought alongside him. The person sitting at the top was none other than the current sect master of the Nine Heaven Xuanzong Sect, Lin Rei's second son. Sigh. Looking at the silent crowd, Lin Yun let out a long sigh. He turned to the middle-aged man with a ferocious expression and asked, Uncle Bai, how is it? Is there any news of my father? It's been 100 years, almost 100 years. Father, he's still. As he spoke, Lin Yun's eyes involuntarily moistened. He missed Lin Ray no less than anyone else. Hearing Lin Yun's question, the middle-aged man called Uncle Bai revealed a disappointed expression. He shrugged helplessly. No, after so many years, the young master seems to have evaporated into thin air. There's no news in the divine realm at all. Back then, even when we sent out the Sect's disciples, they couldn't find any news. But, as he spoke, he seemed to have thought of something. Suddenly, Uncle Bai froze. What? There's news of my father? Lin Yun asked excitedly when he saw Uncle Bai's reaction. Looking at Lin Yun, Uncle Bai revealed a troubled expression. Actually, I'm not very sure either. I've only heard rumors. I heard that the young master appeared at the entrance of the 9th province. And now, there's no news of the young master in the other 8 provinces. So, I'm guessing that the young master might have entered the 9th province. The 9th province? Hearing this, Lin Yun calmed down. He knew that in the 9th province, many sects had appeared in the 9th province. Moreover, they had begun to wreak havoc in the other 8 provinces. Even the Heavenly Dragon Mountain in the Wu province had suffered a sneak attack a few decades ago. At that time, the cultivation of the other party was very powerful. There were many god emperors. This time, it would be difficult for Lin Yun to escape this calamity. But who would have thought that just as Lin Rei's heart was about to die, Bai Qi and a few others who had fought with Lin Rei before stood out and turned the tide with their powerful cultivation. From then on, the Xuanzong Sect's name spread throughout the 8 provinces. No one dared to do anything to the Xuanzong Sect. Yes, the 9th province. Looking at Lin Yun's solemn expression, Uncle Bai nodded and continued, How about it? Do you want me to go there personally? Or the person who spoke was called Uncle Bai by Lin Yun. Uncle Bai was none other than Bai Qi, the general that Lin Rei had summoned. The person beside him was none other than Dian Wei, who had been summoned together with Bai Qi. Lin Rei's cultivation was already at the mid-stage ultimate god realm. As a general summoned by Lin Rei, he had already reached the peak of the ultimate god realm when Lin Rei broke through to the ultimate god realm. As long as Lin Rei broke through to the saint realm, as a general, he would immediately have the strength of a Tao fruit saint in the great perfection realm. This was the terrifying thing about a general. When Lin Yun heard this, he immediately stood up and said, No need, no need. Uncle Bai, you just need to guard the sect. As for this matter, leave it to the others. It just so happens that the Xuanzong Sect's position in the 8th province is already unshakable. If we attack the 9th province, wouldn't our Xuanzong Sect be? As he spoke, Lin Yun's face was filled with pride. At this moment, Lin Yun even thought of himself entering the 9th province with the Xuanzong Sect. If his father saw that scene, then he would definitely be praised. What he needed the most was not the position of the sect master of the Xuanzong Sect, but the praise and care of his father who had not returned for a long time. Bai Qi, who understood Lin Yun's thoughts, smiled and nodded. Yes, in that case, the young master will definitely be very pleased. Don't you all think so? After saying that, Bai Qi tossed those words to everyone present. Instantly, everyone present nodded their heads with smiles on their faces in praise. Yes, yes, the young master will be pleased when he sees you. Yes, 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 I agree with this idea. I agree. At this moment, everyone expressed their opinions. Looking at the praise and nodding of everyone below, Lin Yun smiled. He smiled very happily. As for Lin Yun's thoughts, as Lin Yun's father, Lin Yun had no idea. At this moment, a group of people was approaching Jade City's gate. The young man in the lead had a face full of smiles and excitement, as if there was something that made him very happy. Behind him was another young man, but his expression was completely different from the young man in the lead. He looked at everything in front of him in a daze and walked to the side of the young man in the lead. He said, Is this our destination this time? It doesn't look like the city we're in is flourishing. Sigh. Hearing this, the young man in the lead sighed and explained, "All right, don't be so picky. This place is already very good. If it were in the lower realm, I'm afraid that only the imperial capital would have such a grand scale." While speaking, the young man in the lead didn't stop as though something was chasing after him. "Yes, little world young. Just make do. You have to know that Lin Ray's starting point is even better than the town near the entrance of the ancient corpse trove, not to mention this place." Pichio, do you want to die? At this time, Lin Li, who was the leader, was unwilling. He turned his head and said threateningly with a cold face, "That's right, this group of people was none other than Lin Ray's group, who came out from the lower realm of the divine world. It had been a year since the last time they were in the ancient corpse trove. During this year, Lin Ray and the others flew day and night without stopping. Apart from taking a break when they couldn't take it anymore, the rest of the time was spent on the journey. Finally, after a year, Lin Ray brought everyone here. They came to the place that made Lin Ray's teeth itch. They came to the Jade City that made him suffer. After being born, seeing Lin Ray's threatening gaze, the Pichio that was laughing suddenly shut up and didn't speak anymore. However, because of the Pichio's words, it attracted World Yang's attention. He wanted to know and wanted to see how a place that didn't even go to the town near the ancient corpse trove could give birth to such a powerful and heaven-defying monster. Enough. Suddenly, a cold voice broke the atmosphere. The person who spoke was none other than the only woman in the group, Siefeng. Looking at the playful Pichio, Siefeng was stunned. She looked at the Pichio and said, "Can you be quiet for a while? It's been so long, and you still have such a bad habit. Aren't you afraid of being suppressed because of this?" Hearing this, the Pichio couldn't take it anymore. It looked at Siefeng with hostility. If it wasn't for Lin Ray being here, if it wasn't for the fact that its cultivation hadn't recovered yet, if it wasn't for the fact that it was afraid of harming the innocent, it would have already taken action. In front, Lin Ray, who was walking, felt the smoke behind him. The flames of war were about to erupt. Lin Ray powerlessly turned around. His originally cold face revealed a trace of a smile. He persuaded, "You two, when can you really stay together for 2 days? It hasn't even been a while, and you're already fighting. Tell me, I will also feel tired. It's very difficult for me to be like this. Moreover," as he spoke, he pointed at the restaurant at the side and said, "Moreover, I still have something to do. You two can stay in this restaurant. When I'm done, I'll come back to find you two. Don't say no." As soon as he finished speaking, Lin Ray, who knew Siefeng very well, hurriedly said, "I won't go far. I'll be in Cheong City, so you don't have to follow me. When I'm done, we'll set off for Tianlong Mountain. That's settled." As he spoke, he didn't wait for Siefeng and the other to refute. He immediately activated his cultivation and disappeared from the spot with a teleport. F*CK, this brat. After a while, the Pichio and the other came back to their senses. Looking at the empty place, the Pichio directly scolded, "This brat, when we were in Cheong City, I didn't think there were any friends of this brat here." "Yeah?" Hearing the Pichio's words, Siefeng also responded thoughtfully. As for their words, Lin Ray already couldn't hear them. He ignored them and left Siefeng and the others. Following the memory in his mind, he came to the alley that he regretted. Staring at the seemingly bottomless alleyway, Lin Li was stunned. And then, he began to walk forward, one step at a time, towards the image of the guest from the Cloud Clan, who he had so much disdain for. Step by step, although he didn't walk fast, it was actually very fast. One step was 100 meters. At this moment, Lin Ray only wanted to settle the matter here as soon as possible. He didn't have much time and didn't have the time to waste here. Slowly, the words "guest from the clouds" that annoyed Lin Ray appeared in front of Lin Ray's eyes. At the same time, accompanying the words was the magic array formed by the runes. Guest from the clouds, Granny Cheong, I'm back." Facing the guest from the clouds in front of him, Lin Ray sighed for a while. Then, he took a step forward and suddenly stepped into the magic array. Jia. There was a sound that seemed to open the door to one's soul. Hearing the strange sound coming from the front, Lin Li raised his head and saw the person he wanted to see walk out from the group of guests from the Cloud Realm. He was at the door, looking at him with a dangerous expression. Looking at her, Lin Ray did not smile at all. His expression was cold as he quickly walked over and said, "I got what you wanted. Where's my antidote?" At this moment, the person who appeared in front of Lin Ray was none other than the owner of the guest from the clouds, Granny Cheong, who would stay here for eternity. Haha, I knew it. Hearing Lin Ray's words, Granny Cheong's eyes became wet and an excited smile appeared on her face. "I knew you could do it." Seeing Granny Cheong's expression, Lin Ray was quite surprised. Evidently, Lin Ray had not expected Granny Cheong to be so excited. However, even though he was surprised, how could Lin Ray not be worried about his antidote? After all, there wasn't much time left, and he didn't have that much time to waste here. Ignoring Granny Cheong's excitement, he stretched out his hand and said, "Give me my antidote." Chapter 8:11. Despite the young man's anxiousness, Granny Cheong didn't hand over the antidote to Lin Ray. Instead, she gestured for him to enter the Cloud Inn. "Young man, what's the hurry? Anyway, we're already here. What's wrong? Are you afraid that I'll harm you?" Granny Cheong asked, looking at Lin Ray's vigilant expression. Lin Ray was speechless at Granny Cheong's reaction. He thought that after the transaction, they would go their separate ways. You have your open road, and I have my single plank bridge. But now things had turned out this way. There was nothing Linley could do about this. After all, this was the enemy's territory. Although he wasn't as fearful of Granny Cheong as he had been in the past, Linley was still extremely fearful of the formation outside. "Please." Granny Cheong gestured for him to enter again. Then, she didn't wait for Lin Ray like before. Instead, she stepped into the Cloud Inn. Sigh. Lin Ray fell helpless looking at Granny Cheong's reaction. After all, she hadn't handed over the antidote, and his secret was still in her hands. He let out a sigh and stepped into this place that he never wanted to enter. As soon as he entered the Cloud Inn, he found that it was completely desolate. It was completely different from when he left. This place was no longer bustling with life, nor was it filled with wine and meat. It was no longer filled with the aroma of wine and meat. Aside from an old smell and a cold, gloomy feeling, Linley couldn't sense anything else. Seeing how much this place had changed, for a moment, Linley was stunned. He wasn't quite used to the changes in this place. Back then, he was lured in by the fragrance of wine and meat. But now, at this moment, Granny Cheong, who was walking in front, sensed Lin Ray's mood and expression and suddenly spoke. "Huh, what's wrong? Do you feel that this place is different from before?" This. For a moment, Lin Ray, who wasn't prepared, stammered and didn't know what to say. To be honest, this place had changed a lot, but because of this, Lin Ray was even more vigilant. Although this place was no longer as guarded as it had been before, it still gave Linley an oppressive feeling. Actually, this place has been busy for a long time. Lin Ray's hemming and hawing confirmed Granny Cheong's words. In response, Granny Cheong smiled, a very bleak smile. Long ago? How long? Lin Ray didn't quite understand what Granny Cheong meant by early. The concept of early was a huge compensation. So, how long? Turning to look at Lin Ray, Granny Cheong muttered to herself, "It's been a long, long time. I remember that the last time someone came, it was in front of 100,000 people." "What?" Lin Ray couldn't help but exclaim, his face full of shock and horror. "In front of 100,000? That's impossible. 100 years ago, I saw this place flourishing with people drinking wine." "Why do you say it's been 100,000 years?" As he spoke, Lin Ray couldn't help but recall the scene when he first came here. If it was an illusion, the system didn't remind him, and he also felt that the scene back then was very real. Then, if it wasn't an illusion, what could make Granny Cheong say that it was in front of 100,000 people? At this moment, Lin Ray's mind was completely confused. He didn't know if it was his illusion, or if Granny Cheong was old and had forgotten something. Granny Cheong looked at Lin Ray, whose expression was very rich at this moment, and smiled. Illusion, Jade Sky Illusion, is a type of illusion that can change. It is an illusion that can make gods and devils go crazy. It is a type of illusion that can deceive everyone. Even a saint wouldn't be able to see through it. Jade Sky Illusion? This name had a big impact on Lin Ray. Lin Ray had never heard of this illusion, especially when he heard that even a saint wouldn't be able to see through it. What level would it take to do that? TSK, TSK, TSK. Jade Sky Illusion, haha. I haven't heard this name for a long time. Suddenly, when Lin Ray was puzzled, the system spoke. And from the system's tone, it seemed that it was very familiar with the Jade Sky Illusion. You know about it? Lin Ray asked. He really wanted to know how powerful this illusion was that it could make him run around in circles. Sigh. Looking at Lin Ray's expression, the system didn't hide the truth and told him about the Jade Sky Illusion. Yes, Jade Sky Illusion. It is a very ancient illusion, a kind of illusion that doesn't belong to this place. Doesn't belong to this place? Lin Ray was even more confused about the system's words at this moment. What did it mean that it didn't belong to this place? Since it didn't belong to this place, where did it belong? Now, more and more mysteries were coming in, which made Lin Ray feel confused. At this moment, he felt like an ignorant ant that didn't know anything, like an idiot. Looking at Lin Ray's appearance, the system explained, Jade Sky Illusion. As for its origin, you don't need to know. But you can know that its strength is not inferior to all the combat techniques that you're practicing now. Of course, the strength of the Jasper illusions lies not in its offensive power, but in its illusions. The things it conjures up are very real. Just as Granny Cheong said, even if the saints or Hong Jun of the Tao fusing were to come, they might not be able to tell whether it's an illusion or reality. Listening to the system's explanation, Lin Ray couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. If such a powerful illusion was used to save one's life, wouldn't that be, you little brat? The system naturally knew what Lin Ray was thinking. It was speechless about Lin Ray's thoughts at this moment, but it had to admit that what Lin Ray thought was true. Generally, the Jade Sky Illusion was used to save one's life. Moreover, the most important thing was that this kind of technique was very difficult to practice. The necessary condition of practice, it was that the person who practiced it must be a woman, and a woman with the heavenly Yuan body. System, no, you can't practice it even if he did. Knowing what Lin Ray wanted to ask, the system didn't wait for him to speak and directly rejected him. The system decisively rejected him. Lin Ray felt helpless in his heart. To be honest, he liked the Jade Sky Illusion very much. After all, he had been living a life of licking blood on the edge of a knife and was constantly worried about his life. So, after hearing about the benefits of this illusion, Lin Ray was tempted. However, in the early stages of being tempted, the system woke him up with a slap. You little brat, you can't practice this Jade Sky Illusion unless you castrate yourself. Otherwise, forget it. Originally, he thought that the system didn't allow him to practice it, but now that he heard the necessary condition to practice it, it turned out to be, for a moment, Lin Ray decisively rejected it. After all, Lin Ray didn't want to waste the rest of his life for a technique. Looking at Lin Ray's current appearance, the system smiled and didn't think much about it. Then it went into silence. At this moment, Granny Cheong was sitting on a chair, looking at him with eyes full of expectation. For a moment, Lin Ray's body trembled. Then, with a thought, he took out the Corpse King pill from his storage ring. He looked at Granny Cheong, then at the Corpse King pill in his hand. Then, with a firm expression, he said to Song Pa, "This is the Corpse King pill you wanted. Take it." After saying that, Lin Ray casually threw the Corpse King pill to Granny Cheong. "Thank you." When Granny Cheong saw the Corpse King pill being tossed into the air, a teardrop fell from her eyes as she spoke to Nan and I. Although Granny Cheong's voice was very soft, Lin Ray heard it very clearly. In this regard, Lin Ray smiled and waiting for the antidote to arrive. At this time, the Corpse King pill fell into Granny Cheong's hands. Looking at the Corpse King pill in her hand, Granny Cheong was excited. It's this. Where's my antidote?" Looking at Granny Cheong's excited appearance, Lin Ray couldn't help but ask. "Yes, for you." Hearing Granny Cheong's decisiveness, Lin Ray was stunned. Previously, Lin Ray felt that Granny Cheong was a little reluctant to give him the antidote, but now. However, looking at Granny Cheong, excitedly looking at the Corpse King pill in her hand, Lin Ray attributed Granny Cheong's decisiveness to the Corpse King pill and felt relieved. Looking at the bottle, Lin Ray immediately took out a red pill from the bottle. It was colorless and odorless. Lin Ray didn't think too much about it because he didn't believe that a Sage Realm Elder would do such a despicable thing. The red pill instantly melted in his mouth and rushed into his limbs and bones. Phew! Finally, the poison that threatened my life for 100 years is gone. Lin Ray exhaled. At this moment, he felt very relaxed. After all, the knife that had been hanging over his head was gone, and he felt much better. After detoxifying the poison, his body relaxed. Looking at Granny Cheong, who was still unable to extricate herself from her excitement, Lin Ray bowed and said, "Granny Cheong, since this humble one has found the item for you, this humble one has fulfilled his promise. Now that we no longer have any relationship of interest, this humble one, are you sure?" The sudden question instantly stunned Lin Ray. Granny Cheong pulled herself out of her excitement and looked at Lin Ray with an expression of certainty. Granny Cheong smiled, but Lin Ray felt that this smile was very strange. Looking at Granny Cheong's eyes, Lin Ray suddenly felt as if he were being stared at by a poisonous snake. At this moment, Lin Ray felt uncomfortable all over. At the same time, Lin Li, who had sensed that something was off, immediately began to use his inner vision to investigate. System, check if there is any poison in the pill I just ate. At the same time, check my body to see if there is anything wrong. While checking his body, he asked the system for help. Okay, don't worry. At this moment, the system felt that the atmosphere was oppressive and wasn't as self-centered as before. The atmosphere suddenly became quiet. Normally, nothing good would happen in a quiet atmosphere. Chapter 8:12. Time followed Lin Ray's rapid heartbeat. Slowly, after searching for nothing, Lin Ray placed his last hope on the system. He believed that the system should be able to find something. Coming back to his senses and waiting for the system's answer, Lin Ray glanced at Granny Cheong, who was looking at him. At this moment, there was no hope in Lin Ray's eyes, only coldness, killing intent, and endless killing intent. In the past, he had always been the leader, but now he had been played by this old lady time and time again. This made Lin Ray feel aggrieved and want to fight. But now, this old lady still had something on him. He couldn't move. At the same time, when Lin Ray looked at Granny Cheong also looked at Lin Ray. Their eyes met. Looking at Lin Ray, Granny Cheong smiled. "Boy, this time, do me a favor. I promise, just this time, after this, I will definitely give you the antidote. What do you think?" "Humph, help." Looking at Granny Cheong's threatening smile, Lin Ray couldn't imagine her pleading attitude. Of course, even if Granny Cheong showed that kind of pleading attitude, after this time, not to mention helping, just looking at her made Lin Ray's eyes hurt. Moreover, at this moment, he wanted to kill Granny Cheong. So how could he help? "Yes, help." Seeing Lin Ray's sneer, Granny Cheong's expression didn't change. She still looked at Lin Ray with a smile. "This is not a big or small favor. You can definitely do it, and it will be very easy. Oh, by the way, the poison I gave you is only enough for you to last for 50 years. Within 50 years, if you don't get back what I want, I think I don't need to tell you what the consequences will be, right?" At that moment, Lin Ray was speechless. 50 years. Even if he did help, 50 years, he didn't believe that helping Granny Cheong would be a small matter. Besides, when Granny Cheong threatened him with poison again, Lin Ray had already made up his mind. Even if he had to die for this favor, he would do it. It was for no other reason than the fact that he didn't want his life to be played around by others. He didn't like it, and was even more displeased. For a moment, Lin Ray didn't respond, and the space became quiet again. Lin Ray didn't pay attention to Granny Cheong and focused all his attention on the system. He was waiting for the system's answer. No matter what the answer was, Lin Ray decided not to help Granny Cheong anymore. In the blink of an eye, 6 hours had passed. During these 6 hours, Lin Ray felt as if a century had passed. Good. However, the Emperor of Heaven does not disappoint those who persevere. Finally, at this moment, Lin Ray waited for a reply from the system. What? What poison is it? Do you know? Lin Ray asked anxiously. I know. Seeing Lin Ray's anxious appearance, the system was able to ease the anxiety and didn't waste any more time. It directly informed him, it's a very strong poison. However, it's not that difficult to cure. I know how to, you know how to? Hearing this, Lin Ray's eyes lit up with delight. If the system could cure the poison, then why was he still wasting time here? Yes, I know how to. I have the antidote, but tell me, how much do you want this time? Lin Ray knew that the system always took advantage of people when they were in trouble. So before the system finished speaking, Lin Ray directly spoke. Hee, only Lin Ray knows me well. Seeing that Lin Ray was so understanding, the system suddenly smiled and said, actually, it's not much, due to the strength of the poison, so for now, just say how much, don't beat around the bush. Just say it. Lin Ray directly rolled his eyes at the system's hesitation and urged it. 3 million, just 3 million exchange points. Finally, the system said the level of the antidote. You damn it. To Linley, this was an acceptable number. After all, this concerned his own life. How about it? Do you want it? Or, ignoring Lin Ray's expression, the system spoke. Sigh. Glancing at Granny Cheong, Lin Ray sighed and nodded helplessly. Yes, hurry up and give me the antidote. Hearing this, the system was of course happy. Okay, wait, I'll give it to you immediately. Saying this, the system's voice faded away, followed by the sound of a notification. Ding dong, purchase of antidote successful. Host, do you want to detoxify your body now? Isn't this nonsense? Of course, I'll detoxify it. Lin Ray was helpless at the system's question. Ding dong. Okay, detoxification begins. Please wait a moment. Boom. A terrifying medicinal power instantly appeared in his Dan Palace. Following that, Lin Ray felt his entire body warm up, giving him the feeling of returning to his mother's embrace. This feeling made Lin Ray feel very comfortable. At the same time, this feeling told Lin Ray that he was indeed poisoned. Otherwise, he wouldn't feel this way. Thinking about this, the killing intent in the pit uncontrollably rushed out of his body and rushed towards Granny Cheong. Although Granny Cheong was a mid-stage Dao fruit saint, this was nothing to the current Lin Ray. In the ancient corpse trove, Lin Ray had killed many late-stage Dao fruit saints, not to mention Granny Cheong, who was only a mid-stage Dao fruit saint. Why? How could Granny Cheong not sense Lin Ray's enormous killing intent? However, what puzzled Granny Cheong was that she clearly had his life in her hands. Why was he still releasing such a powerful killing intent? This wasn't something an ordinary person could do. Of course, at this moment, she still didn't know that the poison she used was being removed by the system bit by bit. Granny Cheong, I originally thought that after completing this transaction with you, we would mind our own business. But you actually poisoned me again. As he spoke, his killing intent increased greatly. At this moment, if he couldn't rush out of the formation faster than Granny Cheong, then he would not only have to face Granny Cheong's attacks, but also the superposition of the formation. Linley wouldn't be so foolish as to think that he could withstand the attacks of the formation. Boy, come back. Otherwise, Granny Cheong's voice came from behind. After hearing this, Lin Ray's body trembled, and he sped up again. At the same time, he communicated with the system and asked, Quick, give me some energy. It's so close. I don't want to waste all my previous efforts. Sigh. You. Lin Ray did not refuse and only sighed. Then he felt a surge of energy. A terrifying energy instantly appeared in his body, and it did not merge with his body. He felt a sense of confidence that he had never felt before. He felt the energy in his body for him to use. Suddenly, without hesitation, he used the dragon's subduing step and rushed out of the formation. Phew! Looking at the outside world without the formation's aura, Lin Rei could not help but breathe a sigh of relief. At this moment, he did not have to worry about the danger of being restricted by the formation. Ah, you! How could you? At this moment, Granny Cheong's angry roar came from behind him. Turning to look at her, Lin Li's face was as cold as ice, and his hands were constantly forming one mysterious incantation after another. Granny Cheong, you brought this upon yourself. Since you dared to toy with me, then you should have thought about the consequences of my wrath. Chapter 8:13. No, no, don't. She saw Lin raise hand seals, and mysterious runes appeared in the air, flickering with a terrifying power. Granny Cheong knew about these runes. Although she wasn't a formation master, she knew that these were the runes that had controlled her for millions of years. She hated these runes to the core. Granny Cheong was shocked that Lin Rei didn't know about these runes. She never thought that this young man would know about them. Moreover, these runes were so powerful that she was afraid of them. No. Lin Rei sneered while looking at Granny Cheong. Just now. If you hadn't used poison on me, perhaps I would have parted ways with you. Maybe you would have left this place after a while. But of all the things you shouldn't have done, you shouldn't have poisoned me and played with my life. Even the heavenly emperor of the holy world, Hao Tian, couldn't do that. What gave you the right to do that? His voice was as cold as ice. He didn't stop. Instead, his hand seals became faster and faster. It was so fast that it confused everyone. The vague outline of a magic array appeared, and a terrifying sealing power rushed into the sky. Lin Rei created this rune based on the formation used to imprison Granny Cheong. Therefore, there was a peak venerable level formation under this rune. Thus, when the two joined forces, Lin Li believed that even if they weren't able to set up a saint-level formation, they would at least be able to set up a saint-level formation. Moreover, this was Lin Rei's first time trying to combine the two. What was even more difficult was that Lin Rei didn't have a sealing formation. This made it even more difficult. No, don't. Young man, I was wrong. I was possessed. It's all my fault. Please don't be so heartless and seal me again. I can't take this blow anymore. Too late. Without waiting for Granny Cheong to speak again, the spell formation was complete. It was a shocking sealing spell formation that had just been completed. Firmament seal for me. Suddenly, a formation formed by mysterious runes and formations appeared. Asterisk boom, asterisk with a loud rumble. It soared into the sky, and the array instantly expanded, enveloping the entire Yun Lai Ku alley within the array. Fuse. With a low roar, Lin Li saw that there was a slight pause in the formation that was about to seal the visitor from the cloud realm. In an instant, with his sharp eyes and agile hands, and with the help of the system, he instantly executed the firmament seal, fusing the formation with the formation. Boom! Suddenly, there was a muffled sound and a bright light flashed. The formation that had been dim due to the passage of time seemed to reignite its former glory after Lin Rei's formation fused with it. How? How is this possible? How can you possibly set up a formation that can fuse with this world-shocking formation? Astonishment, shock, panic, and disbelief. All kinds of complicated emotions appeared in Granny Cheong's eyes. Of course, most of them were regret. She didn't expect this result. If she knew, she wouldn't have poisoned Lin Rei. Looking at Granny Cheong's shocked and painful appearance, Lin Rei's evil intentions finally disappeared. It's useless to regret. Lin Rei looked at Granny Cheong and coldly shouted, "You can stay here at ease. Perhaps at some point in time, when I remember, I might let you out. But before that, you should change your current bad habits. Otherwise, not to mention when you go out, I might kill you. Even with the protection of this formation, you can try." Granny Cheong wanted to retort in response to Lin Li's rebuke, but what else could she say? The winner was the king, while the loser was the bandit. Since she had already lost, all she could do was obediently admit defeat. Granny Cheong had nothing to say. This was the truth she had understood for so many years. That's enough. You can live your life here. He gave Granny Cheong one last glance and then walked out of the alley without paying any attention to her. On the way, Lin Ray smiled. After all, this matter was finally over. How could he not be happy? Of course, he also had another thought. He was about to return to the sect and see his family and descendants. He couldn't help but smile more. On the way, Lin Ray hurried to the restaurant Jiayong and the others rented. He didn't order the front desk. He released his divine sense and instantly found the room they were in. When he arrived at the restaurant, he directly walked into the backyard and came to the door of Jiayang's room. Knock, knock, knock. Gently, Lin Ray knocked on Jiayang's door. Jiayang, I'm Lin Ray. Open the door. Lin Ray. Jiayang was stunned when he heard the familiar voice. He quickly got up and went to the door. When he opened the door, he saw Lin Ray's familiar face. Looking at Lin Ray, Jiayang smiled and nodded. How was it? Did you solve the matter here? Lin Ray smiled at Jiayang's question and replied, Of course. Moreover, it was done perfectly. I believe that I won't come here again. Jiayang felt that Lin Ray's words were strange. He didn't think too much about it. After all, this was Lin Ray's matter. Looking at Jiayang, Lin Ray nodded and said, Let's go. Come with me. We've been away from home for so long. It's a bit. Okay, let's go. I also want to go up and take a look and see if there are any good things I can buy. Understanding Lin Li's intentions, Jiayang didn't even need to think before he nodded and agreed. Seeing Jiayang agree so readily, Lin Ray was happy. He impatiently turned around and walked towards the door. Jiayang was a bit stunned by Lin Ray's impatience. This was because it was different from the usual Lin Ray. He shook his head and threw all those thoughts to the back of his mind. Then he quickly chased after Lin Ray. Jade City, on the flowery street. Lin Ray and Jiayang came out of the restaurant. They looked left and right. Whenever there was a shop that was new, the two of them would go in and check it out. Even if it was a shop that sold women's clothing, the two of them weren't afraid. After all, their purpose for coming here was to buy something for their family. There seems to be something lively up ahead. Just as Lin Ray came out of a shop, Jiayang curiously noticed something. He immediately shook Lin Ray and said, Lively? Lin Ray was stunned by Jiayang's words. Then he turned his head and looked at the direction Jiayang pointed at. He saw a very big pavilion. It was dazzling in gold and jade. It was majestic and gave people a feeling of looking up. Looking at the tall building, Lin Ray was stunned. He had to admit that when he saw this kind of place, Lin Ray already had the thought of going in to check it out. After all, there weren't many of these kinds of buildings. Moreover, Lin Ray could feel that there was an obscure and powerful aura in the pavilion. With curiosity, Lin Ray nodded and agreed. Okay, since that's the case, let's go. Okay, let's go. Seeing that Lin Ray agreed, Jiayang took a step forward and appeared a few zhang away. Sigh. Seeing Jiayang like that, Lin Ray sighed and immediately chased after him. The two of them quickly arrived in front of the tall building. They raised their heads and saw the words Baiyuan Trading Company in front of them. Baiyuan Trading Company? Looking at the signboard, Lin Ray was puzzled. He remembered that when he first came here, this place didn't seem to be here. Wait, today is our trading company's auction that only happens once in 1,000 years. I wonder if you're interested in going in? At this moment, just when Lin Ray was looking at the words Baiyuan Trading Company and felt puzzled, a voice suddenly pulled Lin Ray back to reality from his puzzlement. Lowering his head, Lin Ray was stunned when he saw the young man in front of him. Then he nodded and said, An auction that only happens once in 1,000 years. I think the number of people who can enter must be very high, right? There is no doubt that Lin Ray knew a little about the rules. After all, his sect had opened a trading company before. Moreover, those places could be found in the entire immortal world. Sure enough, after hearing Lin Ray's words, the young man was stunned. He couldn't help but chuckle and nodded. It seems that this guest is a guest. Guest. Hearing the young man's words, Lin Ray couldn't help but think. After all, This word would only be used when visiting prostitutes. That's right. You can enter. The entrance fee is 10,000 low-grade divine crystals. Ordinary seats cost low-grade divine crystals. If you want, there's no need to say any more. Lin Ray didn't care about the price that the young man mentioned. After all, when they went to the ancient corpse trove, they found a divine crystal mine. That if you think it's too expensive, we can give you a discount. At this moment, Lin Ray didn't need to say any more. The young man thought that Lin Ray thought it was too expensive and immediately said. However, when Lin Ray opened his mouth again, the young man was stunned. Seeing the young man's reaction, Lin Ray chuckled and said, "Actually, what I mean is that there's no need to say the ordinary price. Just tell me the private room price. However, since you said it's cheap, I believe you won't deceive me, right?" As he said those words, killing intent flashed through his eyes. However, even though it was merely a flash, the young man was still able to clearly sense how powerful that killing intent was. That's right. This junior will naturally keep his word. Please follow this junior in. At this moment, the young man was extremely respectful. He no longer had the appearance of someone who thought he was a noble. As for the change in the young man, Lin Ray naturally knew what was going on. Thus, he didn't say anything. He smiled and called out to Jieyong. Then, he followed the young man into the interior of the trading company. From the outside, the trading company occupied a large area. However, when they actually entered the trading company, Lin Ray couldn't help but be stunned. For no other reason than the prosperity of this place, as well as the quality of the ornaments that were hung outside. Lin Ray was stunned. To the current Lin Ray, his horizons were naturally broad. When he entered the trading company, he saw a long sword that was hung at the entrance. As an honorable level blacksmith, Lin Ray naturally knew that this was a quasi-sacred artifact. Furthermore, looking at the patterns on the sword, it didn't seem like something that the current blacksmiths of the divine realm could refine. Furthermore, Lin Ray felt that these things were very similar to his own refining techniques. It was as if they came from the source. However, when he looked at them carefully, there were differences. Lin Ray was very puzzled about this. However, Lin Ray had a new assessment of the strength of the Baiyuan Trading Company. Subsequently, one after another, things that shocked Lin Ray appeared. Lin Ray felt that not only was this Baiyuan Trading Company's strength strong, they also had a very deep background. However, what surprised Lin Ray was why this kind of deep background wasn't famous before. What's wrong? At the side, sensing Lin Ray's abnormality, Jieyong couldn't help but ask. "Oh, it's nothing." Being pulled back to reality by Jieyong's voice, Lin Ray smiled and became vigilant in his heart. Regarding this unknown place, Lin Ray didn't dare to guarantee that there wasn't any danger here. "Let's go." Looking at the youth leading the way in front, Lin Ray waved his hand and followed closely. In the hall on the first floor, there weren't many people. They were in twos and threes. Most of them were individual customers. However, Lin Ray could feel that although these people were individual customers, their cultivations were mostly at the monarch or divine ancestor level. The youth didn't say anything. He only led Lin Ray upstairs. First floor, second floor, there weren't many people here. The situation was very different from the first floor. However, the decorations on the second floor were even more exquisite, and meticulous than the first floor. However, when they reached the third floor, everything changed. Originally, Lin Ray thought that it was a marketplace. In the end, what was different was that this was an auction. Moreover, it was a sea of people, and the area was especially large. Uproar. The place was bustling with noise, farting, and whistling. Looking at these people, Lin Ray was stunned for a moment before returning to normal. At this moment, the youth leading the way in front turned around and said, "The two of you, follow me. There's a private room on the second floor. However, you need to pay 500,000 low-grade divine crystals to register as a VIP. So what do you think?" As he said that, the youth smiled and rubbed his hands together. He looked as if he was going to collect the money. "Okay, I'll give it to you when we reach the private room. Let's go first. Lin Ray didn't care about 500,000 low-grade divine crystals at all. Okay. Lin Ray's words were what he wanted to hear the most. Seeing that the person in front of him was so decisive, the youth didn't stay any longer. Instead, he was even more excited than before. The layout of this place was very simple. The center was empty, and there were rooms on both sides. There were a total of 3 floors, and each floor had 12 rooms. Each room had its own name. The empty space in the center of the first floor was filled with people. In a corner, there was a platform on which a woman stood. She had a delicate face and pointed ears. Frankly speaking, she was an elf. At this moment, the youth led Lin Ray to the last empty room on the second floor. Stopping in front of the door, they raised their heads and looked at the words Watermoon Pavilion above their heads. A faint smile appeared on their lips as they walked in. The two of you, this is the VIP room on the second floor. There's a formation to isolate divine senses and a high-level illusion formation here. Therefore, you don't need to worry. At this moment, the youth in the room turned around to look at Lin Ray and began to introduce them. By the way, those are some of the better spirit fruits. We provide them for free. Chapter 814. Got it. As he spoke, Linley sent his divine sense into the storage ring that held the divine gems. He took out 500,000 low-grade divine gems, then placed them into an empty storage ring. With a casual wave of his hand, he tossed the storage ring containing the 500,000 divine gems to the youth. The young man was stunned by Lin Ray's actions. It should be known that there were 500,000 low-grade divine crystals in the storage ring. That was a considerable sum. Of course, Lin Ray did not care about the young man's thoughts at all. After all, Lin Ray did not care about the concept of divine crystals at all. After all, he had obtained these divine crystals by accident. Looking at the stunned young man who caught the storage ring, Lin Ray said, "Here are 500,000 low-grade divine crystals. You can leave now." Hearing this, the young man still wanted to say something, but the other party had already ordered him to leave. Moreover, to be able to casually take out such a large sum of divine crystals, coupled with Lin Ray's indifferent attitude, the young man knew that he could not afford to offend such a person. Moreover, he had to treat him well. He could not afford to offend him, throw him away, or have any dissatisfaction with him. Thinking of this, the young man smiled and nodded. "All right, since that is the case, I will take my leave first." With that, the young man turned and walked out of the door. "All right." At this moment, just as the young man reached the door and was about to leave, he suddenly stopped, turned around, and emphasized, "I am Baiyu. I hope you have a good time here." With that, Baiyu chuckled, closed the door, and left. Baiyu? Surname Bai? Hearing Baiyu's self-introduction, Lin Ray was stunned and fell into deep thought. How should he put it? Lin Ray felt that Baiyu's cultivation was not bad. He was at the peak of the early Divine Lord realm. To be able to reach such a realm at such a young age, even if he was not rare, he was definitely one of the top geniuses. But for such a person to work as an attendant in the White Yuan Trading Company, just this point alone made it so that Linley had no choice but to treat this auction seriously. From the first floor's guest hall, for the quasi-saint artifacts and quasi-saint medicines, Linley had the feeling that this auction definitely wouldn't be a simple one. Perhaps there really was something he needed. As he thought about it, Lin Ray couldn't help but reveal a smile on his face. When Jie Yong saw Lin Ray acting like this, he didn't ask anything. Instead, he walked over and sat down. "TSK, this fruit is not bad." Sitting down, Zhang Xian took a whiff of the aroma of the spirit fruit beside him. Then he casually grabbed a golden fist-sized fruit and put it into his mouth without caring what kind of fruit it was. With a crunch, he took a bite, and golden juice flowed out from a bite. A sweet fragrance instantly spread throughout the room. At that moment, Lin Ray, who was deep in thought, frowned when he smelled the fragrance. He came back to his senses, and his gaze landed on the golden fruit in Jie Yang's hand. Lin Ray was momentarily stunned. Immediately after, he said with interest, not bad. This White Yuan Trading Company is indeed a good place. Just the free spirit fruit has already reached the god rank. TSK, golden Qilin fruit. Rumor had it that it was formed after being stained with the blood of a golden Qilin. However, the specifics weren't clear. This kind of golden Qilin fruit was a god-rank spiritual herb. Moreover, it was one of the main ingredients to concoct honorable rank elixir. Now, it had become a free spirit fruit in the mouth of others. Of course, it was also because of this that Lin Ray was even more curious about this White Yuan Trading Company. He wanted to see how powerful this White Yuan Trading Company was. Hearing Lin Ray's introduction of the golden Qilin fruit, Jie Yong was stunned. Immediately after, he lowered his head and looked at the half-eaten golden fruit in his hand. Then, he understood something and his eyes widened with a shocked expression. You can't be talking about me. That's right, it's the fruit that you're eating. Understanding what Jie Yong wanted to say, Lin Ray nodded. It's fine. It's good for you to eat more of this kind of fruit. Okay. Since Lin Ray had already said so, Jie Yong didn't think much about it and continued to eat. Anyway, these fruits were free. Moreover, there were still 7 or 8 fruits in the plate. Thinking about it, Jie Yong was happy. He wasn't stupid enough to think that eating these fruits would help him break through his cultivation. However, it would help in strengthening his body and cultivation. Looking at Jie Yang's current appearance, Lin Ray smiled. Immediately after, he went to the window and looked through the window at the arena on the first floor. At this moment, he was waiting for the auction to start. He wanted to see what kind of good things would be auctioned here. Hurry up and start. We've waited for so long. Why isn't it starting yet? At this moment, the crowd below began to jeer. Yeah, hurry up. Yeah, pretty lady. It's already so late. Hurry up and start. At this moment, the auctioneer looked at the commotion below the stage and was stunned. She was in a difficult position. To be honest, she also wanted to start the auction. However, she didn't have the final say here. She was only an auctioneer. As for when the auction would start, she still had to wait for the owner of this place to agree. The elf who was in a difficult position had an awkward smile on her face. In order to ease the awkwardness, she quickly said, That everyone, the auction is about to start. Please wait for a moment. We are currently preparing immediately. After saying that, she glanced at the young man who was standing at the staircase, not far away. It was as if she was waiting for his nod. If Linley were here, he would definitely recognize that the person the elf was looking at was none other than Baiyu, the person who had guided them to the inn earlier. At this moment, Baiyu felt the inquiring gaze of the auctioneer. He smiled and nodded. He transmitted his voice. Let's start. Hearing this, the elf who was smiling awkwardly suddenly smiled. This smile was not the same as before. It was a very relaxed smile. She nodded at Baiyu and then looked at the crowd. She opened her red lips and said in a clear and melodious voice, Everyone, the auction will begin now. I'm sorry to have kept cultivators waiting. Please accept my apology. After saying that, the elf called Captivating Hong continued. Let's get to the main topic. Everyone, let's get to the main topic. Now, let's officially start the auction. After saying that, she raised her hand. Her white skin caused everyone to hold their breaths. Suddenly, a young man walked out from the inner hall with a plate in his hand. Looking at the young man holding the plate, everyone was excited because the auction was about to start. On the plate in the young man's hand was the item that everyone urgently needed. It was also the reason why they were here. Hurry up and start. I can't wait any longer. Ha ha ha. At this moment, sitting at the head of the table, a middle-aged man who was closest to the auction stage looked at Captivating Hong with bright eyes. It was as if he was determined to get the item. Okay, let's start. Looking at the restless people below, Captivating Hong nodded her head. After that, the awkwardness on her face disappeared and was replaced by a serious expression. Next up is our first auction item. After saying that, Captivating Hong walked to the attendant's side and lifted the black cloth that was still on the plate. Then, a dagger was exposed to everyone's eyes. There was nothing strange about a dagger. However, what was different was that at the tip of the dagger, there was a trace of red. Because of that, the dagger became different. Just because of that trace of red, it added a finishing touch to the entire dagger. At this moment, the dagger revealed a bit of color. Especially that trace of red, it made the dagger look very demonic. This dagger. At this moment, in the private room on the second floor, Lin Ray, who had been observing the situation below, was startled the instant he saw that demonic dagger. His heart was shocked. What's wrong? What dagger is this? Behind him, Jie Yang's voice sounded, followed by the sound of footsteps. TSK. The hand this time isn't as simple as it seems. Just by looking at it, I can feel the baleful aura emanating from the dagger. If I'm not mistaken, the hand this time is capable of absorbing blood essence on its own. It's a vicious weapon, Zhang Xian explained. Oh, hearing those words, Jie Yang slowly walked to Lin Rei's side. With a curious gaze, he looked at the dagger on the auction stage. And then, this. Looking at the dagger, Lin Rei's eyes widened. That was because this dagger was exactly as Lin Rei said. At first glance, one's gaze was completely attracted by it. Top quality, honorable level, Lin Rei said with a smile. Hiss, how is this possible? At this moment, hearing Lin Rei's words, Jie Yang was shocked. Although he had not been in the divine realm for long, he still had some understanding of the divine realm. Other than Lin Rei, he could not think of anyone else who could refine such a powerful weapon. Moreover, a top-quality, honorable level weapon. Who would be willing to sell such a weapon? Weapons of this level were all sealed in the forbidden grounds of various sects as the signboard of the sections. Nothing is impossible. Looking at Jie Yang, Lin Rei said, perhaps it's those old bastards from the sections. Although there is no such person on the surface, who can guarantee that there is no such person? Moreover, the divine realm is vast and unmarked. Who dares to say that they can tour the entire divine realm? That's true. Hearing those words, Jie Yang's temper was gone, because what Lin Rei said was right. No one could be 100% sure about how big the divine realm was. Enough. Looking at the stunned Jie Yang, Lin Rei waved his hand to get him to regain his senses. I want this item. You can call out a price. Looking at Lin Rei in a daze, Jie Yang smiled bitterly. To be honest, he had never participated in this kind of thing before. Moreover, he had never called out a price before. At this moment, Lin Rei suddenly said those words. This made Jie Yang somewhat helpless. What? I told you to call out a price. No matter how many divine crystals it is, I must have this item. After saying that, he took a chair from the side and sat at the side. His eyes were filled with burning desire as he stared at the bottom. Jie Yang wanted to refute, but looking at Lin Rei's current appearance, Jie Yang knew that it was already impossible for him to escape. Helplessly, Jie Yang could only compromise. He nodded his head and looked at the auction stage, waiting for the bidding to start. At this moment, on the auction stage, Yin Hong looked at the crowd below and smiled. She explained, this dagger is called Soul Devourer. It is a top-grade venerable level weapon. As for its effect, it is very powerful. It can stack up the user's attack power by 10%. Hiss, when Hong Ming, Soul Devourer, was mentioned, everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. Their faces were filled with shock. This kind of weapon was very much needed in all sections. Sure, it can stack up the user's attack power by 10%. Not bad. I really want to see the person who made it. He's almost on par with me. Looking at Soul Devourer, Lin Rei was even more determined to get it. All right, let's start the auction now. At this moment, Yin Hong's voice woke everyone up from their stupor. She then said, Soul Devourer's base price is 1 million middle-grade divine crystals. Each bid is 200,000 middle-grade divine crystals. In that case, everyone bid enthusiastically. The highest bidder will get it. Me, 1,600,000. At this moment, after Yin Hong finished speaking, someone immediately took over. There was no pause in the middle. The person who spoke was none other than the middle-aged man who was about to start the bidding. 2 million. a wave of bidding began. The competition was very intense. The first floor's hall, the second floor's private rooms, and the third floor's private rooms all appeared. Moreover, the level of bidding was getting higher and higher. At this moment, the price had increased from 1 million to 7 million. Moreover, it did not change for more than 3 minutes. Looking at the bids one after another, Lin Rei, who was in private room 2 on the second floor, did not say anything. Jiang, who was beside him, also did not say anything. Regarding this, Lin Rei did not ask too much. After all, he had already said that this matter would be handed over to Jiang, and he would not interfere. 8 million. Suddenly, a woman's voice resounded from a private room on the third floor. Immediately, everyone present became silent. 8 million middle gray divine crystals was a terrifying amount no matter which sect it was in. Moreover, this was only the first item to be auctioned. There was still more to come. They did not want to spend their money on this. After all, the later items would be of better quality. At this moment, the entire place became silent. No one spoke. Looking at the silent scene, Yin Hong spoke. 8 million going once, 8 million going twice. When she shouted the second time, there was still no one speaking. At this moment, Yin Hong thought that there was no one else. 3 million going thrice, done 9 million. Suddenly, a number that shocked the entire place was called out. Everyone present was stunned. Even a person on the third floor who shouted 8 million shut her mouth. 8 million was her limit. 9 million. Is there anyone with 9 million? 9 million going once. At this moment, when she heard the number of 9 million, Yin Hong quickly shouted out. 9 million going twice. 9 million going thrice. Bang. The small hammer in Yin Hong's hand was knocked on the table. Then, with a smile on her face, she said, "Sold. Congratulations to the Water Moon Pavilion for obtaining the Soul Devourer for the high price of 9 million. After saying that, Yin Hong signaled the attendant behind her to send the item up. Not bad, Jiang. To be able to obtain such an achievement on your first try. Amazing. At this moment, in the Water Moon Pavilion, when they saw that Jiang had successfully obtained the Soul Devourer that he wanted, they could not help but praise him. Chapter 8:15. Hee. Jiang smiled and ignored Lin Rei's praise. He didn't know anything about the auction, and he didn't want to do anything because he didn't have anything he wanted to buy. All right, you can watch. There are some things that you can do as you see fit. I won't interfere. Seeing Jiang acting like this, Lin Rei nodded his head and stopped looking at him. He got up and walked to the bed at the side and lay down. As for the auction items, since he had given Jiang full authority, he could relax. Seeing Lin Rei leave with such ease, Jiang panicked. He didn't know what to buy and couldn't make up his mind at the moment. Don't worry. All of the things that we obtained from the auction this time will be given to the sect. You can buy whatever you want. As for divine crystals, we don't lack them. Knowing what Jiang was worried about, Lin Li immediately spoke out. Oh, okay. Since Jiang had said this much, he didn't say anything else. Since he knew the general situation, he knew how to deal with it. He didn't look at Lin Rei anymore and turned his gaze back to the auction stage. At this moment, Jiang seemed to have made some kind of decision. His eyes were filled with determination. On the bed, looking at Jiang's back, a smile appeared on Jiang's face. His eyes were filled with relief. Then, he closed his eyes and entered the system. Within the picturesque system space, Lin Rei slowly walked to the surface of the lake and sat down. Why did you come in? At this moment, just as Lin Rei sat down, the system's voice rang out. Me? Lin Rei raised his head and looked at the sky. He said, I have nothing to do outside, so I came in to study formations. After all, time is money. Moreover, my time is much more valuable than money. I can't afford to waste it. Hee. All right. The system was speechless at Lin Rei's words. All right, you can slowly study here. I won't disturb you. However, you must remember that you don't have much time left. You still have a bit of time left to become the sect master of the Talisman Sect in 100 years. As for the 1,000 years mission, you don't have much time left. So, Young man, hurry up. Alas, hearing the system's reminder, Linley sighed. I was in a pretty good mood, but now that you've appeared, my good mood has been completely ruined. After saying that, Linley shut his mouth and did not say anything else. The system did the same as Linley, shutting its mouth and going into hiding. At this moment, the system's space fell silent. No one spoke. Lin Ray, who was sitting on the surface of the lake, entered a state of enlightenment. Dong, dong, dong. In the outside world, when Jieyong was paying close attention to the movements on the auction stage, suddenly there was a knock on his door. He turned his head and looked at the door. Jieyong was puzzled as to who was there. He didn't know who would come here. Asterisk, knock, knock, knock. Asterisk, the sound of someone knocking on the door rang out once more. In response, Jieyong moved. He got up and walked to the door with confusion. The instant he extended his hand to open the door, a young man's face appeared. You are. This is your auction item. At that moment, the young man looked at Jieyong and spoke. As he spoke, he held the tray in his hand and handed it over to Jieyong. Oh. Seeing the tray, Jieyong recalled. Wasn't this young man the attendant who was dragging the soul devourer on the auction stage earlier? After understanding, Jieyong extended his hand and received the tray. Then, he placed the 9 million mid-quality divine crystals that he had prepared beforehand into a storage ring and handed it over to the young man. Here are the 9 million mid-quality divine crystals. Take them. Hearing those words, the attendant was startled. He did not accept the storage ring and instead said, Actually, you shouldn't settle the bill so quickly. Here, we wait until the end to settle the bill, because we're afraid that the guests will continue to bid. So, okay. Jieyong nodded his head and took back the storage ring. Then he smiled and said, Since that's the case, you can leave first. I might have to trouble you to make a few more trips later. Yes. Hearing those words, the attendant's eyes shined. Then he bowed respectfully and obediently left the room. Seeing that the attendant had left, Jieyong closed the door and put away the storage ring in his hand. After closing the door, Jieyong walked over to the window and sat on the chair that Lin Ray was sitting on earlier. He lowered his head and looked at the black cloth covering the soul devourer. Jieyong's heart moved. Then he extended his hand and removed the black cloth covering the soul devourer. Oh, whoosh! A sword-humming sound instantly resonated through the entire room. Then, the temperature of the room that was originally decent instantly dropped to the extreme. Amen. Jieyong was startled by this. His gaze was firmly fixed on the soul devourer. Until now, this was the first time that Jieyong had seen a dagger that was capable of emitting such killing intent. Such a spiritual dagger was sufficient to show how powerful it was. Unable to restrain himself, Jieyong extended his hand and grabbed the soul devourer's dagger. Suddenly, an ice-cold sensation began to spread from his hand to his arm. Then it spread through his entire body and all the way to the back of his head. At this moment, Jieyong felt that he was bathed in killing intent. At this moment, his surroundings were naturally not the Baiyuan Trading Company. Instead, it was an Azura battlefield. The surrounding smoke, flames of war, broken limbs, and all kinds of bloody things were everywhere. Even the ground beneath his feet was dyed red with blood. The smell of blood rushed into Jieyong's nostrils. At this moment, Jieyong felt that everything was even more real. This, feeling the sensation that the soul devourer gave him, Jieyong's face revealed a trace of shock. If such a weapon was used in battle, wouldn't it be the same as the domain that only God Emperors could awaken? Feeling the illusion brought about by the soul devourer, Jieyong was startled. He forcibly stabilized his invisibility. Instantly, the surrounding scene that was like an Azura from hell disappeared. His vision returned to normal. After returning to his room, his breathing became extremely fast. Jieyong placed the soul devourer back onto the tray and placed it down again. To be honest, just from the scene just now, Jieyong was tempted by the soul devourer. He really wanted to see what would happen if he were to use the soul devourer in battle. However, at this moment, when Jieyong was fantasizing in his heart on the auction stage on the first floor, Yanhong once again became excited. The first auction item had been sold. Yanhong was unable to stop this good start. All right, the Soul Devourer is not fated to be here. Since that's the case, let's move on to our second auction item. After saying that, the attendant who had been waiting for a long time walked out from the backstage and stopped beside Yanhong. He was holding a tray in his hand. The tray was still covered with a black cloth. At this moment, the crowd below the stage became excited again. Because the 100th bid was 9 million, everyone began to look forward to the auction item's price. Looking at the eager crowd below the stage, Taichung Yanhong opened her mouth and said, "The auction item this time is a very amazing item." After saying that, she lifted the black cloth covering the tray. Suddenly, a black stone was exposed to everyone's eyes. Amen? Yanhong, what is this? You can't be trying to fool us with a stone, right? That's right. It's so black and doesn't look like anything. What is this? That's right. What is this? At this moment, the instant the item on the tray was exposed to everyone's eyes, everyone lost their calm. There was a fist-sized stone on the tray. It was pitch black, just like a piece of coal. There was neither spirit nor spiritual aura on it. Everyone present couldn't remain calm. Everyone thought that captivating Crimson or the White Yuan Trading Company was trying to fool them. Sensing the commotion below the stage, Yanhong was stunned. She quickly explained, Everyone, please calm down. This stone is called the Chaos Stone. It is a very powerful and high-grade material for refining weapons. If a little bit of it is added during the refining process, then the grade of the weapon will be greatly improved. Moreover, the weapon refined will have a stacked attack power that is even more terrifying than the Soul Devourer. At this moment, the crowd who questioned earlier all sucked in a breath of cold air. Their faces were filled with astonishment. Chaos Stone. At this moment, on the second floor of the Water Moon Pavilion, when Yanhong explained the Chaos Stone, Jieyong came back to his senses. When he heard it, he looked at the black stone on the stage and was shocked. He knew about the Chaos Stone. There was an introduction to the Chaos Stone in the Realm Palace's Scripture Pavilion. The Chaos Stone was a product produced in the Chaos after Homing Sky was created. The Chaos Stone could be used to set up formations and refine weapons. It could be said that it had many uses. However, the Chaos Stone was very easy to call, unless one was blessed by the Dragon of Luck, otherwise, Chaos Stone. The starting bid is 2 million mid-grade Divine Crystals. The starting bid is 500,000 mid-grade Divine Crystals. Now, the competition begins. As usual, the highest bidder wins. Bam! The moment the knocking sound was heard, the price began to soar. 3 million mid-grade Divine Crystals. At this moment, an old man stood up. His face was flushed red as he shouted to the auction stage. 3,500,000. This Chaos Stone is Zhongyangzi's for sure. TSK, you dare to take out 3,500,000? What a disgrace. I'll take out 4,500,000. The moment the bid of 4,500,000 was made, the crowd sucked in a breath of cold air. Some people quieted down at this moment. They wanted to shout out a price, but they were too embarrassed to do anything. Seeing how intense the bidding was, the people on the second and third floors were ready to watch the show. Time passed by slowly. In the blink of an eye, the price had risen from 4,500,000 mid-grade Divine Crystals to 8,500,000. 8,500,000. 8,500,000. Is there anyone else who wants to raise the price? At this moment, Yanhong, who was on the stage, smiled when she saw the crowd raise the price to 8,500,000. Although she asked this question, she knew that the bidding on the second and third floors had not started yet. The 8,500,000 was just the beginning. 10 million, wow! The crowd could no longer remain calm. 10 million Divine Crystals was a huge sum of money. Even in a first-grade sect, it was more than half of their total expenditure. This voice came from one of the private rooms on the third floor. It was a man's voice. One could tell that it was the voice of a young man. 15 million. Another price soared. The crowd was already numb. The crowd on the first floor gave up on competing. Instead, they were ready to watch the show. Everyone raised their heads and looked at the second and third floors. Their eyes were filled with anticipation. 20 million, 25 million, it began. The numbers that shocked the crowd on the first floor instantly impacted their hearts. These simple numbers were indeed something that they would never be able to reach in their lifetime. On the second floor, in the Watermoon Pavilion, an amused smile appeared on his face when he heard the bidding from the outside. The corner of his mouth was slightly raised. The Chaos Stone is mine. When Jiang found out about the Chaos Stone, he had decided that he would definitely get it. There was no other reason other than the fact that Lin Rei was a blacksmith. Moreover, he knew that if Lin Rei knew about the Chaos Stone, he would probably go even crazier. He waited and waited for the bidding from the outside. Slowly, the price of 25 million became 40 million. Even a top force might not be able to bear this number. After all, a sect was not a single person, but tens of thousands of people. However, if he could spend 40 million to obtain the Chaos Stones and use them to refine weapons, he would be able to make the best use of them. The moment the bid of 40 million was announced, everyone shut their mouths. No one spoke, no one bid. At this moment, everyone seemed to have stopped breathing, and the space seemed to have frozen. Everyone was stunned in place. A few minutes later, Yanhong came back to her senses and looked at the quiet scene below the stage. Yanhong opened her mouth and ignited the atmosphere again. 40 million going once. Is there anyone else who wants to raise the price? Is there anyone else who wants to raise the price? After pausing for half a minute, Scarlet spoke again. 40 million going twice. 40 million going thrice done. 50 million. Boom. Everyone in the hall exploded. Even in the room on the third floor, where the 40 million bid had been shouted, a huge pressure instantly erupted. 50 million. How is 50 million possible? How is this possible? 50 million? What kind of power? The young man sitting on the seat in the room was stunned and shocked, as if this was something he had not expected. Right at this moment, within the Watermoon Pavilion, Sneer suddenly sensed a powerful aura. Lying on the bed, Sneer opened his eyes. His face was filled with confusion, but within that confusion, he was also filled with rage. Lin Rei, who was in the system, had already touched the opportunity to create a divine array. However, just as he was about to capture it, the system asked Lin Rei to leave immediately. As a result, the current scene was created. Feeling the pressure, his originally calm face instantly turned cold, and a wave of anger rushed to his heart. Are you trying to laugh yourself to death? With the cultivation of a peak mid-stage ultimate god, he instantly released his aura and rushed towards the third floor where the pressure came from. Puff! On the third floor, in the room where the pressure came from, the young man sitting in the middle opened his mouth and spat out a mouthful of blood. His face instantly turned pale. Chapter 816. How? How is this possible? A mid-hierarch? Why is he so powerful? At this moment, an old man who was in the same room as the young man felt Lin Rei's aura. His eyes were filled with shock and doubt. He did not understand why Lin Rei's aura was able to suppress him. One should know that his cultivation level was the same as Lin Rei's. They were both mid-hierarch, but now. However, the crowd did not know about this. Once one reached the ultimate god realm, one would be able to control one's aura to suppress others without threatening them. Lin Rei naturally knew what happened in the room on the third floor. When he saw the young man vomiting blood, Lin Rei did not force him anymore. After all, he did not want to provoke someone he did not need to. He was not afraid, but he was afraid of trouble. This is a warning. He sent mentally to Lin Li, who was in the private room on the third floor. This is the first time. I don't want it to happen a second time. This sort of feeling makes me very uncomfortable. Also, control your temper. Not everyone is as benevolent as I am. Benevolent? Lu Feng was stunned when he heard that. He smiled bitterly in his heart. Benevolent? TSK. I'm afraid you have misunderstood the word benevolent. Of course, he naturally wouldn't say such words. After the scene just now, he knew that he was no match for the other party at all, including the strength behind him. Moreover, he wouldn't offend someone they couldn't afford to offend for such a small matter. Of course, that person must be crazy. Otherwise, no one in the world would be willing to offend such a person. They would even try their best to befriend him. Senior, I am Lu Feng, the Supreme Elder of Heavenly Spring Palace. The one beside me is my nephew, Lu Ha. I am really sorry for what happened just now. Lu Feng apologized while trying to mend their relationship. After all, it was better to have such a friend than to have such a powerful enemy. As the Supreme Elder of Heavenly Spring Palace, Lu Feng naturally had to consider the sect first. Although Tian Quan Hong was powerful, he could not afford to offend such a person. As the saying goes, one must always be vigilant against others, and one must never have the intention to harm others. It's always right to have one more friend. All right, I understand. If there is a chance, I will return. Heavenly Spring Palace, remember that. Lin Rei naturally understood Lu Feng's intentions. However, he had to make a trip to the Heavenly Spring Palace. After all, he was going to ascend in a few hundred years. He did not want to see the Heavenly Spring Palace decline and the future generations suffer after he ascended. Good. Lu Feng will definitely welcome you on behalf of the Heavenly Spring Palace. In response to Lin Rei's response, Lu Feng smiled. He smiled very happily, just like a child. The wrinkles on his face were like caterpillars hanging on his face. At the side, the young man who was coughing up blood was stunned. He looked at his uncle with a face full of shock. After he regained consciousness, he rarely saw his uncle smile, especially now. At the same time, it was also because of this scene that the young man knew that he might have offended someone he could not afford to offend. When he thought of this, Lu He's body could not help but tremble. His face turned even paler, and blood continued to flow out of his mouth. All right, participate in the auction well. I'm tired. Seeing that Lu Feng did not stop talking, Lin Rei's tone turned cold. Then, he cut off the call with Lu Feng. At that moment, in the Water Moon Pavilion, Lin Rei did not get up after ending his conversation with Lu Feng. Instead, he turned off the command and entered the system again. He wanted to try to find the breakthrough opportunity that he had sensed earlier. Throughout the entire process, Jie Yong had been sensing it. He knew that Lin Rei had woken up. However, Jie Yong did not say anything. Instead, he focused all his attention on the stage. He was confident that Lin Rei could handle this. At that moment, when he sensed that Lin Rei had fallen asleep again, Jie Yong was stunned. Then, he focused all his attention on the stage. He wanted to obtain the Chaos Stone for Lin Rei's sake. At that moment, the auction hall was still in silence. However, as the auctioneer, Yin Hong was also stunned for a moment. Then, she came back to her senses and looked at the Water Moon Pavilion on the second floor in shock. Her face was filled with doubt and shock. She did not understand why the Water Moon Pavilion, which was on the second floor, dared to compete with the third floor. Moreover, from the looks of it, they seemed to be winning. When she came back to her senses and saw Bai Yu's gaze at the staircase, Yin Hong was stunned. Then, she returned to her role. All right, 50 million. 50 million going once. Is there anyone who wants to increase the price? Half a minute passed, and still, no one said anything. Yin Hong had already reached the conclusion. Moreover, she did not expect the Chaos Stone to be worth so many divinity crystals. She was excited, seeing that no one around her responded, and that no one on the second and third floor responded. Yin Hong suddenly opened her mouth. 50 million going twice, 50 million going thrice. Having said that, she looked at everyone in the auction hall again. Then, she lifted her hand and smashed the small hammer on the stage. Pung! A muffled sound rang out as the hammer struck the deal. Deal! Congratulations to the Water Moon Pavilion for winning the bid again. Congratulations. Having said that, Yin Hong put down the small hammer in her hand and clapped her hands to congratulate. However, at this moment, Yin Hong's clapping pulled everyone back to reality. In an instant, everyone in the auction hall clapped their hands and cheered, Clap, clap, clap. For a while, the entire auction hall was filled with clapping sounds. They were all congratulating the Water Moon Pavilion's bidder. Of course, in everyone's hearts, they naturally did not agree. Some of them were sincerely congratulating the Water Moon Pavilion, while others were sincerely jealous. Some wanted to find out the identity of the Water Moon Pavilion's bidder, while others began to scheme in their hearts. However, they did not know that while they were in a daze, the Water Moon Pavilion had already clashed with Lu Feng on the third floor. If this matter was known by everyone present, no matter how low Lin Rei's bid was, no one would make a move, because they wanted to curry favor with him. Looking at each other in the auction hall, the corners of Jie Yang's mouth curled up into a smile. On the auction stage, Yin Hong gestured to the attendant who was holding the chaos stone beside her, telling him to go forward and pass the auction item to the guest in the Water Moon Pavilion. The attendant waited for the signal in Yin Hong's eyes. Then, he nodded his head and left the auction stage, walking towards the Water Moon Pavilion on the second floor. At this moment, Baiyu's gaze swept across the Water Moon Pavilion on the second floor. He pondered a lot in his heart. Tisk, so many divine crystals have been spent. It has completely exceeded the level of entering the third floor. Should I move it to the third floor? At this moment, Baiyu began to ponder about this problem. If Lin Rei knew what he was thinking, he would definitely snore disdainfully. After all, in his opinion, as long as it was in the room, it was the same everywhere. Next, Yin Hong did not stop. She brought up the third auction item. This time, it was a mirror named Universe. There was a universe in the mirror that could accommodate and refine all things. Its grade was a quasi-sage level auxiliary weapon. Of course, to female cultivators, this was what they wanted the most. After all, everyone loved beauty. At this moment, the people in the auction hall did not move like before. For a moment, they were not particularly interested in this item. They were afraid that the Water Moon Pavilion would bid again. After all, the first two auction items had already entered the Water Moon Pavilion's pockets. The starting bid for Universe is 1 million mid-grade divine crystals. The starting bid is 1 million mid-grade divine crystals. The highest bidder wins. The auction begins after the announcement. The auction hall instantly became silent. Everyone on the first floor raised their heads and looked in the direction of the Water Moon Pavilion. It was as if they were waiting for the Water Moon Pavilion to make a move. It was not only the first floor. A small portion of the people on the second and third floors were also looking at the Water Moon Pavilion with expectant gazes. They wanted to see just how much money the people in the Water Moon Pavilion had for him to squander like this. However, Jiang did not pay any attention to the gazes of the crowd. He did not say anything. Instead, he quietly looked at the universe on the attendant's tray. In an instant, Jie Yang entered deep thought. Time slowly passed. In the blink of an eye, more than 10 minutes had passed. During these 10 minutes, the crowd did not hear any more bids from the Water Moon Pavilion on the second floor. Because of this, the crowd subconsciously thought that the Water Moon Pavilion had given up on this round of tokens. Suddenly, after this confirmation, the crowd once again went into an uproar. Of course, the uproar was mostly among the female cultivators. There were also some male cultivators, but not many. 1,500,000, 2 million, an hour passed. The bidding had not stopped. Now, most of the people on the second and third floors were competing. The first floor had completely given up on the competition because they did not have enough money. Now, they were completely reduced to spectators. They were no longer auctioneers. At this moment, their identities had undergone a substantial change. 10 million. The Water Moon Pavilion will take this item. Fellow Taoists, please give me some face. In the future, the Water Moon Pavilion will be eternally grateful. How about it? At this moment, in a room on the third floor, a woman with an expression of instant death looked at the second and third floors through the window with an expectant gaze. Humph, the Water Moon, you think I will give it to you just because you want it? At this moment, another woman was on the third floor. However, the aura emitted from her body made people shudder. It was not the same as the Water Moon from before, who gave people a comfortable feeling. You! Hearing this, the Water Moon was stunned. Hesitation appeared on her face. She knew that this woman who had fought with her for her entire life would not let her have her way. Rather than both sides suffering, it was better to give up. Thinking of this, the water moon's face was filled with disappointment. Her eyes couldn't help but become moist. I know. Lan Yu. Since you like it, then you can bid for it. Give up. Because of that woman called Lan Yu, the water moon gave up on bidding. Regarding this, the crowd was stunned. They did not expect this ending. On the auction stage, Yin Hong also did not expect things to turn out this way. However, there was nothing she could do about it. Looking at the situation, her curiosity had already settled. In response, Yin Hong raised her head and asked Lan Yu on the third floor, I wonder how much Miss Lan Yu will bid and how much will you bid for it? I advise you to be sensible. Feeling that she had won, Lan Yu felt relieved. At this moment, Yin Hong's voice sounded. In response, Lan Yu, who was feeling happy, immediately said, 2 million. As soon as these words came out, the crowd was shocked because she actually did not need to spend so many divine crystals. All right, 12 million going once. This was already the best result for her. She would bid as much as she could. In any case, the trading firm would still make a profit in the end. Seeing that no one in the auction house was making a counterbid, Yin Hong continued to say, 12 million going twice, 12 million going thrice. At this final juncture, the crowd's breathing could not help but quicken. It was as if they were the ones who had bought this universe. However, just when everyone thought that the matter was completely settled, suddenly a familiar voice sounded. 13 million. As soon as these words came out, the crowd looked at the Water Moon Pavilion with astonishment. Their eyes were filled with interest. I knew that this person would definitely bid again. As expected, he bid again. On the third floor, Lu Feng was listening to the bidding from the Water Moon Pavilion in his room. For a moment, his face was filled with an interesting smile. At this moment, the crowd was completely helpless. It was not for anything else, but the fact that the Water Moon Pavilion did not open their mouth to start the auction. Moreover, they had waited for more than 10 minutes. However, just when everyone was stunned, Jie Yang of the Water Moon Pavilion laughed. Just as the Chinquin mirror appeared, and after learning of its uses, Jie Yang sank into deep thought. He was wondering if Lin Li's aura or his daughter would like this Chinquin mirror. Just when Jie Yang was thinking about whether to buy it or not, he heard the competition between the Water Moon and Lan Yu. Suddenly, Jie Yang had an idea. Since these two women were fighting like this, then Lin Rei's wife or daughter would also like it. Because of this, there was such a scene. Regarding this, if the crowd knew about Jie Yang's idea, they would definitely faint on the spot and not be willing to wake up again. On the third floor, Lan Yu's room was quite big. She wanted to bid for Jie Yang's auction, but she was stopped by the people beside her. There's no need to bid. This person's financial strength is strong. We don't even know his background and power. This kind of person should not be offended. Just give up. Hearing this, Lan Yu's eyes were filled with hesitation. But after thinking about what she said just now, Lan Yu finally nodded. Although she was reluctant, she still agreed in the end. Okay, with Lan Yu's agreement, everyone present sunk into complete silence. And at this moment, Captivating Red knew that the outcome was already decided. She didn't hesitate, and in the end, the final decision was made. With a knock as proof, the universe mirror was successfully won by Jie Yang for 13 million. Just like this, what was originally a good auction became the Water Moon Pavilion's private collection auction. Next, almost all the auction items that were brought up on the surface became the Water Moon Pavilion's cyst. Chapter 817. Regarding the Water Moon Pavilion's action of killing everyone, everyone was extremely furious. They even had the thought of killing them. However, the fact was that they did not have the financial resources to match the Water Moon Pavilion. They could only give up. As for the Water Moon Pavilion, the entire White Yuan Trading Company was filled with curiosity. At the same time, they were also filled with vigilance. Those who were able to come here were mostly people from the sects of the divine realm. How could they not be worried when a person with such powerful financial resources suddenly appeared? They were afraid. They were afraid that the people from the Watermoon Pavilion would obstruct them. They were afraid that the people from the Watermoon Pavilion would replace their position. They were not confident. They were afraid. They were afraid of such a powerful existence. This kind of fear was something they had never experienced before. This was the first time in their lives, and they believed that this would definitely not be the last time. At this moment, in the Watermoon Pavilion, looking at the auction items that were placed all over the floor, Jae-young had a satisfied smile on his face. Regarding the task that Lin Rei gave him, Jae-young felt that he had done it perfectly. Furthermore, he felt that these things should be very liked by Lin Rei's relatives. Of course, when buying these things, Jae-young did not seem to consider whether or not Lin Rei had that many divine crystals. Instead, he only thought of completing the task. Looking at the auction items on the floor, Jae-young smiled and nodded in satisfaction. He then got up and walked to the bedside. Looking at Lin Rei, who was resting with his eyes closed, Jae-young bent down and reached out his hand to touch Lin Rei's arm. He then gently shook it. Lin Rei, quickly get up. The task you gave me has been completed. Do you think you can do it? A few minutes later, the room was completely silent. Lin Rei did not wake up at all. He was still in the state of resting with his eyes closed. Amen. Seeing that Lin Rei was still sleeping, Jae-young spoke again. Lin Rei, quickly get up. In the system space. Boy, quickly wake up. Go out and see that little guy, Jae-young. He has completed the task for you. At this moment, the system had an amused smile as it called out to Lin Rei. As the system, it naturally knew everything about Jae-young's actions in the outside world. Lin Rei let out a soft groan as he sat cross-legged with his eyes closed. Then, Lin Rei moved his lips, and his tightly shut eyes slowly opened at this moment. All of a sudden, a beam of light shot out, and a terrifying aura spread out. It disappeared as quickly as it appeared, and the pressure disappeared in the blink of an eye. After recovering completely, Zhang Xian raised his head and asked doubtfully, "When did you call me?" Previously, it was because of those bastards that I lost a good opportunity. What's going on this time? Because of what had happened before, Lin Rei was a little impatient at the moment. He hated being disturbed when he was cultivating, especially when he was at a crucial point in his cultivation. The system understood Lin Rei's actions very well. It paused for a moment before opening its mouth to explain. It's like this. The auction is about to end. Everything that should be bought has been bought. Jae-young is currently calling for you outside. You see, is the auction over? Hearing this, Lin Rei was stunned. Then his impatience instantly disappeared, and he repeated himself. Yes, hurry up and go out. This little guy is amazing. Not only did he bid for something for you, he even drew a huge wave of hatred for you. The system teased. Suddenly, a bad premonition surged in his heart. Lin Rei really didn't know what would happen to Jae-young, a guy who hadn't seen much of the world, especially when it was said by the system. For a moment, Lin Rei knew that this matter was most likely not as simple as he had thought. Thinking about it, he became anxious and waved his hand at the system. With a thought, he left the system space and returned to his main body. Lin Rei, hurry up and wake up. The auction is about to end. Should we leave? At this moment, Jae-young immediately started to panic upon seeing that Lin Rei was still not waking up. At this moment, just as he returned to his main body, he heard Jae-young's anxious and concerned voice. His heart warmed, and he slowly opened his eyes. What entered his eyes was Jae-young's anxious face. Looking at him, Lin Rei smiled and said, "Okay, don't call me. I'm already awake." Hearing this, Jae-young's body trembled. Then, he looked at Lin Rei's face. The moment he saw Lin Rei open his eyes, the worry in his heart was relieved. "You scared me to death." Seeing that Lin Rei had woken up, Jae-young smiled and retreated to the side. "It's nothing. I'm just too tired." Lin Rei could only answer Jae-young's words like this. He couldn't say that he didn't hear it in the system. Coming back to his senses, Lin Rei stood up and looked at Jae-young in front of him. He asked, "What's wrong? Is the auction over?" Just now, he heard the system say it once. Now that he woke up, he heard the system say it again. Regarding this, Lin Ray went straight to the point. Yes. Jiayong nodded. Then, he took a step to the side and pointed at the auction items that were placed on the ground. He said, "These are the auction items that I bought for you. I have completed your mission. Do you think it's okay?" Hearing this, Lin Ray raised his head and looked at the direction that Jie Yang was pointing at. However, the moment Lin Ray saw the direction that Jie Yang was pointing at, he was stunned. He looked at the colorful, green, and all kinds of auction items in front of him. Looking at these, a bad thought appeared in his mind. Damn, these can't all be bought by Jie Yang, right? As soon as this thought appeared, Lin Ray thought, please don't be. Please don't be. He knew that this place wasn't like a shop. This was an auction house. All the auction items could only be obtained by the highest bidder. However, just as this thought appeared in Lin Li's mind, Ji Yang, who was standing to the side, said with a smile, "These are all right? Originally, I wanted to film a few more, but seeing that those were useless, I couldn't be bothered to film them." Ugh! A boom! It was as if thunder from the 9 heavens exploded in his heart. Suddenly, Lin Ray felt pain in his heart. His mind instantly went blank. His blank mind was filled with Jie Yang's last sentence. Too lazy to buy them. It was like a demon's voice that lingered in his ears. It was like a stone carving. However, it stayed in his mind for a long time. Pain. His heart was in pain. At this moment, Lin Ray really wanted to give himself a big slap. He was very regretful. If he knew that the result would be like this, even if he was beaten to death, he wouldn't have allowed Jie Yang to participate in the auction. Moreover, this was an auction. It proved that you were a killer. After a long time, Lin Ray finally came back to his senses. Looking at the dazzling array of auction items in front of him, Lin Ray felt dizzy. There were so many things. How many divine crystals would they need? 50 million? 90 million? Or more than 100 million? Lin Ray didn't want to guess. He also didn't dare to guess. If that was really the case, then he would return to his previous state and become a true pauper. No need to be excited. There's also no need to thank me. After all, I am a member of the Xuanzong Sect. Your matter is my matter. So, Hearing Jie Yang's words, Lin Ray only managed to say the word I. However, the words after that were stuck in his throat, making him unable to speak. Thank you? You aren't joking, right? I even have the thought of killing you. There are so many things. You really know how to... Thinking of this, his heart ached. However, he still squeezed out a smile on his face. After all, it was because of his request that Jie Yang acted like this. However, the smile on Lin Li's face right now was even uglier than if he had been crying. So many of these things belonged to him, but some of them were things that he was capable of making. This made Lin Li feel even more depressed. Everyone, this is the last auction item for today. However, the difference between this auction item and the previous ones is that this auction item is a person. A person who possesses the purgatory body. At this time, while Lin Ray was feeling stifled, a clear and melodious voice resounded. In response, the gloomy Lin Ray was stunned. He then stood up, walked to the window, and sat down. It wasn't because of the voice just now. It was because of the information that the voice brought. The purgatory body was the starting point of a person's cultivation. It could be said that possessing a purgatory body was equivalent to winning at the starting line. Lin Ray needed this kind of person the most. Moreover, Lin Ray had never heard of the purgatory body before. He didn't know if it was the same as his Hongmeng Supreme Body. Hearing this, the crowd was stunned. They had never heard of this news before. However, everyone knew about the purgatory body. If they were able to obtain a person with the purgatory body, it would mean that their clan or sect would be able to rise rapidly in the future. Is this true? Is there really a purgatory body to be auctioned? At this time, Lu Feng couldn't help but ask. Everyone present wanted to obtain a person with the purgatory body. Of course, this included Lin Ray. That's right. If there really is a purgatory body, why don't you cultivate it yourself? Why are you auctioning it off? That's right. Moreover, auctioning a living person, isn't that something that only the slave market does? By doing this, aren't you? At this moment, all kinds of questions appeared. They were all asking about the purgatory body. Of course, Lin Ray was also very curious about this question. Just as the person said, if there really was a person with the purgatory body, why didn't the White Yuan Trading Company cultivate it themselves? Why would they auction it off? If that was the case, then what was the difference between them and the slave market? However, at this moment, Yin Hong, who was standing on the auction stage, stopped the questioning voices below. For a moment, she didn't get angry and instead laughed. She opened her mouth and explained, "That's right. Everyone is correct. My White Yuan Trading Company can keep the purgatory body for ourselves to cultivate, but at this moment, someone else is consigning it for sale. If our White Yuan Trading Company wants to obtain it, then it must be obtained through the auction. Moreover, I'm not afraid to tell you that although this child has the purgatory body has already been severed a long, long time ago. It can be said that the inheritance of the purgatory body has already been severed. What use is there for the purgatory body that has been severed? Isn't this clearly cheating us?" That's right. Although the purgatory body is good, it is still a purgatory body without inheritance. It is equivalent to a useless purgatory body. This, for a moment, everyone present began to refute. Everyone was filled with disdain. They no longer had the passion for the purgatory body from before. Instead, they were filled with disdain. Seeing that the crowd no longer had the desire to compete like before, Yin Hong was momentarily stunned. Of course, although she was stunned, she didn't give up on the auction because of this. Everyone, if you want to compete, then bid. If you don't want to bid, then don't cause trouble. All right. At this moment, after Yin Hong finished speaking, 9 attendants slowly walked out from the backstage, carrying an iron cage. As usual, the cage was covered with a piece of black cloth. This scene caused everyone's gaze to gather on the cage. Although they didn't want to bid, they still wanted to see what this person looked like. A useless purgatory body? Looking at the iron cage carried by the 9 attendants, his heart was restless. To others, this purgatory body might be a useless purgatory body. However, to Lin Ray, that might not necessarily be the case. Dong! There was a muffled sound. The 9 attendants placed the iron cage on the auction stage and then retreated to the side. At this moment, seeing that the auction was ready, Yin Hong hurriedly walked up and lifted the black cloth on the cage. Then, a young man who looked to be around 16 or 14 years old appeared before everyone's eyes. The young man's face was like jade and his skin was like snow. However, he seemed to have been tortured. His originally snow-white skin was covered with old scars and some new scars. However, what caught everyone's attention wasn't his handsomeness. Instead, it was his cold and hateful gaze. This gaze caused everyone's hearts to tremble. It was somewhat unnatural. Looking at the young man who was filled with hatred, Lin Ray was stunned. His face was filled with an amused smile. This kind of young man was rare. Moreover, Lin Ray didn't believe that he was only 16 or 14 years old. Although he looked that way, his eyes couldn't hide it. The purgatory body. The starting bid is 1 million divine crystals. The starting bid is 800,000 divine crystals. The auction starts now. The highest bidder wins. The auction started. However, to Yin Hong's surprise, there was complete silence. Not a single person made a bid. TCH, Yin Hong, who do you think will buy this piece of trash? 1 million divine crystals. That's enough to nurture a disciple. Yeah, no one is willing to buy this piece of trash. I think your Bai Yuan is the only one who can buy it. After all, you don't lack divine crystals. Ha! At this moment, Yin Hong's face turned cold. She didn't say anything. Instead, she waited quietly. According to the rules of the auction house, even if no one bought it, they would have to wait for half an hour before it could be taken off the shelf. Seeing that everyone was looking at her with interest, Yin Hong ignored everyone's gazes. Instead, she turned her gaze to Bai Yu, who was still at the top of the stairs. However, on the second floor of the Watermoon Pavilion, Lin Ray's lips curled up slightly when he saw that no one was bidding on the stage. This was the situation he wanted to see the most right now. Because this way, no one would bid against him. This way, he could spend less divine crystals. Even so, Lin Ray didn't make a bid immediately. Instead, he waited quietly. He would only make a move when the final bid was raised. During this time, he was also observing the young man with the purgatory body on the stage. In the blink of an eye, it was time for the item to be taken off the shelf. At this moment, Yin Hong on the stage was slightly disappointed when she saw that no one was bidding. She opened her mouth and was about to announce that the item was going to be taken off the shelf. Chapter 8:18. The time limit for the auction has expired. Since no one has chosen a bid, then, I won't be able to bid for this item. Seeing the indifferent expressions of the audience, Yan Hong smiled and began to announce. However, just as Yan Hong was about to finish, a voice rang out. It attracted the attention of everyone present, including the young man in the cage. 1,500,000. I bid 1,500,000. I want this person, said Lin Ray. In the Water Moon Pavilion, Lin Ray looked down at the audience with an amused smile. As soon as Yan Hong ordered the servants to bring out the strangle hell physique, Lin Ray had already decided that he wanted this person. Really? It had come too suddenly. Yan Hong had thought that no one would bid for it. After all, the time limit was already up. She had thought that the Water Moon Pavilion would bid for it, but after an hour had passed, she had given up. But now, I don't want to say it a second time. Looking at captivating red, Lin Li said coldly. Yan Hong stared blankly for a moment, then nodded repeatedly. Okay. Now that the auction item could be sold, it would be a perfect addition to her performance. Yan Hong was naturally willing to do so. Smiling, she swept her gaze over the audience and announced, 1,500,000. 1,500,000. Is there anyone 1,500,000 going once? Although she knew that no one would bid for it, the rules were like that. As the auctioneer, she could not break the rules. 1,500,000 going twice, 1,500,000 going thrice. Bang! Sold. The hammer struck, and the auction ended. Yan Hong felt much more at ease. After all, as long as the hammer didn't make a sound, anything was possible. Congratulations to the Water Moon Pavilion for bidding for the Strangle Hell Physique at 1,500,000. She turned around, intending to signal the servant to bring the cage to the Water Moon Pavilion on the second floor. Just leave it there. I'll handle it myself. Within the Water Moon Pavilion, Lin Li watched the attendant's actions, then rose to his feet and said. As soon as he finished speaking, his figure flickered. He teleported and disappeared from the Water Moon Pavilion. In the next moment, a young man suddenly appeared next to the iron cage on the auction stage, causing everyone to be on guard. At this moment, Jiang, who was still in the Water Moon Pavilion, saw Lin Ray's actions and the corners of his mouth twitched. Then, he restrained himself and collected all of the auction items on the floor. Then, he quickly chased after Lin Ray and landed on the auction stage. The actions of Lin Ray and Yi Zichen had completely attracted the attention of everyone present. There was shock, fear, doubt, and even a trace of desire to explore. Looking at the two people who had appeared, the crowd fell silent instantly. They could feel the cultivation bases of Lin Ray and Lin Fan. No matter which sect they were in, they would be at the level of grand elders or sect masters or elders. As the auctioneer, Yan Hong naturally saw them. She was stunned for a moment before recovering. Looking at the sudden appearance of Lin Ray and Yi Zichen, Yan Hong smiled and said, Senior, you are. Yan Hong had seen Lin Ray, a guest of the Water Moon Pavilion, before. So, she could understand why Lin Ray would ask such a question. I'm from the Water Moon Pavilion. I'm the one who bid for this purgatory body, replied Lin Ray. Then, he slowly walked towards the iron cage. As for Jiang, he appeared in front of Yan Hong. It seemed that whatever Yan Hong wanted to ask next, he would directly refuse. Facing Lin Rei's straightforwardness, Yanhong smiled and quickly took a step back. Since the main character had already arrived, there was nothing for her to do here. She retreated to the side and quietly watched what the young man in front of her wanted to do. After so many years, this was the first time she had seen such a situation, so she was very curious. She wanted to know what Lin Rei wanted to do next. Ignoring the gazes of the surrounding people, Linley stared at the youngster in the cage with a smile on his face. Standing next to the cage, he said, "What is your name? Where do you come from? Why you hate me so much?" Lin Rei didn't open his mouth. Instead, he ignored Lin Rei's question as if he didn't hear it. From the beginning to the end, the young man's eyes were filled with hatred as he glared at the person who had taken him down. Seeing that the young man didn't respond, Lin Rei patiently asked again. When it came to talents, he didn't care about such details. "I'll ask you one more time. Tell me what I asked before, and I can help you." After saying that, Lin Rei looked at the young man in the cage and was stunned. Then, Lin Rei waved his hand and destroyed the cage that locked the young man. The mysterious gold chains that shackled the young man's hands were also destroyed. At this moment, the young man regained his freedom. Looking at him, Lin Rei smiled. "I've already expressed my most sincere response. For the sake of fairness, shouldn't you tell me too?" This, at the side, seeing Lin Rei's actions, Yan Hong was stunned. Obviously, she didn't expect Lin Rei's actions. She wasn't the only one. Everyone else present was the same. They had never imagined that Linley would buy such a person and even treat him in such a manner. "You." At this moment, the young man was also stunned. His face was filled with confusion. "You're letting me go just like that? Why are you doing this?" He was very puzzled. He didn't understand why the person in front of him was doing this. Without a cultivation method, he was like a ruin. He really couldn't figure out what he had that could attract the person in front of him except for the suppressing prison. Lin Rei naturally understood the young man's puzzlement. He smiled and said, "There's no reason. If I said it was for fun, would you believe me?" These words caused everyone in the surroundings to be stunned once more. Who would believe that you're spending 5 million divine crystals just to be happy? I'm afraid even you don't believe it. This thought appeared in everyone's mind, but they didn't dare to say it out loud. At the side, Jiayang, who was standing at the side, saw the young man dilly-dallying and felt anxious for him. He then urged, "I say, kid, hurry up and say it. I'm telling you, if you don't say it now, there won't be another chance like this." Others didn't know how powerful Lin Rei was, but he knew it very well. Not only did he experience the lightning tribulation in the ancient corpse trove, but he also experienced the red dragon of a late-stage Dao fruit saint. Therefore, when he saw the young man dilly-dallying, Jiayang couldn't help but ask, I. Hearing Jiayang's words, although the young man didn't understand, there was a voice in his heart telling him to answer. The young man struggled with the voice in his heart, but in the end, he couldn't resist it. He instantly closed his eyes and tears welled up in his eyes. He clenched his fists and his nails dug into his flesh. A trace of scarlet blood flowed out. At this moment, his mind and curiosity completely collapsed. His body couldn't help but tremble. Lin Rei was puzzled by the young man's action. Other than revenge for the destruction of his family, Lin Rei couldn't think of any other reason. He didn't say anything. He stood there quietly and stared at the young man. At this moment, Lin Rei turned from an expert to an ordinary listener. I am a young master of the Xie family, Xie Tianxin. My father is the head of the Xie family, Xie Ding. Originally, our family lived a very perfect life. It could be said that we stood aloof from worldly affairs. After saying that, the young man who originally had a gentle smile on his face suddenly had a malevolent expression. But not long ago, a great battle occurred. Hearing the young man's words, Lin Rei came to a realization. It was as he guessed. This young man's background was not simple. Earlier, he could tell that the aura emitted from the young man's body was not like that of an ordinary person. Amen. With ice-cold hatred, the young man stared at Lin Rei. His face was malevolent, and he gnashed his teeth. It was as if Lin Ray was his enemy. He wanted to skin Lin Ray and drink his blood. Not long ago, a group of people suddenly barged in. Without any explanation, they began to kill people. They didn't differentiate between men and women, old and young. Even my 2-year-old sister was my father led the family to resist. However, the difference in strength between the two sides was too great. 3,654 people were killed mercilessly. The two sides fought for 2 days and 2 nights. In the end, the family was annihilated, and my father's subordinates protected me with their lives. In the end, they threw me into the mountains of infinity to save my life. Hearing this, Lin Ray nodded. How's the overall strength of your family? How's the strength of the people who invaded your family? A family with more than 3,000 people was no longer a small family. However, no one knew about this incident. This made Lin Ray very curious. My father is a peak late-stage ultimate god. My family is a family of inheritance. I don't know how strong they are. As for the people who came, I guess they are all in the sage realm because my father had a hard time in their hands. He was even killed by one of them in an instant. After saying that, Xie Tianxin hugged his head and squatted on the ground in pain. Saint Realm? Looking at Xie Tianxin, who was crying because of his family's annihilation, Lin Ray was stunned. Being targeted by a saint was not a small matter. Moreover, the Xie family must have something that was worth a saint's attention. Otherwise, of course, there was one thing that Lin Ray did not understand. Why would a saint appear in the realm of the gods? Moreover, Xie Tianxin's words sounded very familiar. There was more than one saint. The only possibility was that those saints were probably from the upper realm. Regarding this matter, Linley knew that it had already exceeded the scope of his ability to understand it. However, since he wanted to subdue them, this matter was no longer a problem. Moreover, his enemy seemed to be even stronger. The Holy World's heavenly court was not to be underestimated. If so, those low-level saints were still a problem. Thinking about this, the worry in his heart disappeared. Looking at the crying Xie Tianxin, Lin Ray paused and said, "Follow me and submit to me. I will give you the power to take revenge. No matter who the other party is, I will be your strong backing. As long as you submit to me, your hatred will be my hatred. What do you think? Submit to you?" Lin Ray's words stunned Xie Tianxin. Logically speaking, he had already been bought by the person in front of him. It could be said that he had become the person in front of him's slave. However, that's right. Submit to me and take me as your master. I will give you the power to destroy everything. What do you think? I. Hearing this benefit that was like a meat pie falling from the sky, the first answer in his mind was to agree. However, with the previous experience of having his sect destroyed, he was afraid. He was afraid that this might be a trap. He did not understand why the person in front of him would think so highly of a piece of trash like him. He did not dare to agree. What? You're not willing? Seeing Xie Tianxin's hesitation, confusion, and indecisiveness, Linley was stunned. He felt a bit of anger in his heart, but when he thought of Xie Tianxin's experiences, Linley felt at ease. Sighing, his anger dissipated. He slowly said, "I know what you're thinking. You're worried that this is a trap, and you feel that you're a piece of trash, right? How did you? Shock. He was shocked that the person in front of him could see through his thoughts. Seeing Xie Tianxin's expression, Lin Ray knew that he guessed correctly. Actually, you don't have to be like this. I chose you because of your physique and the hatred in your eyes. Oh, that's right. As if he suddenly thought of something, he immediately said, I have the purgatory body technique. Of course, if you miss this opportunity, then your vengeance, your hatred, will disappear along with the limitation of your life. Looking at Xie Tianxin, Lin Ray's eyes were slightly disappointed. That's all I have to say. 1 minute. I'll give you 1 minute to consider. After that, no matter what your answer is, I will make you satisfied. After saying that, Lin Ray turned around and looked at Jie Yang, who was at the side. He did not speak. Just like that, the scene was extremely silent. On the auction stage, around Lin Ray, A formation was faintly discernible. It wrapped around Lin Rei, Xie Tianxun, and Jieyang. Other than the three of them, no one else could hear the conversation between Lin Rei and Xie Tianxun. Even Yan Hong, who was at the side, could not hear it. Time slowly passed, as Xie Tianxun was entangled and hesitant. Lin Rei had also thought about Xie Tianxun's answer. Minute by minute, second by second, he wrote. It wasn't long, but it wasn't short either. Just like that, Lin Li turned around and looked at him. His eyes were startled, and he said in a dignified manner, "What's your answer?" Plop. As soon as Lin Rei opened his mouth, Xie Tianxun knelt on the ground and kowtowed with a sincere face. He said, "Master, disciple Xie Tianxun acknowledges you as my master today. I will never betray you. If I make a mistake, may I be struck by lightning from the ninth heaven and be burned by the flames of purgatory. I will lose all my senses and die a horrible death." Hearing Xie Tianxun's words, Lin Rei's face revealed a smile. Obviously, this answer was what he wanted to hear. "Congratulations, young master. You have a disciple." At the side, seeing this result, Jieyang quickly said, Good. A purgatory body was like a treasure to Lin Rei. He believed that under his careful nurturing, the purgatory body would definitely be able to shine and shock the 9 heavens and 10 earths. After saying 4 good words, he stepped forward and reached out to help Xie Tianxun up. "From now on, you are my disciple, Lin Rei. There are still a few senior brothers and sisters before you." As for their cultivation, you will know when we return to the sect. That you're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.